That's right! Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here, and I'm not crying. You're crying, god damn it!
Woohoo, Dragon 5.
Yeah, Dragon Boil too.
Alright, in all seriousness, folks, welcome to the Toy Story 4 Spoilercast. Big stuff. This might be the most substance-filled Pixar movie ever, arguably. A lot of stuff to go over here. This is like the anti-Incredibles 2, because this is how you make a sequel and make it.
Oh, come on, that's an unnecessary bar.
If this is anti-Incredibles, this would be a terrible movie.
Yeah, well. Anyways, So, thesis statements, gentlemen. Getting stuff back on track. We have a lot to cover here, so let's just get right into it. Dragon, I'll start with you because I know you probably have a lot to say. So let's just get it out there, my friend. Go.
Toy Story 4 amazingly lived up to the impossible pitch, made for this movie. It's not trying. Basically, think of all the promises that were made about Toy Story 4, and basically like all the information that we've gotten since the announcement of it's not going to top 3. It's not going to it's not necessarily going to be a Toy Story 4 yet, having the title Toy Story 4. It's it's a romantic comedy, and of course with everything that faced this movie, all the delays, the story and production changes, all sorts of and again the voice actors for even they didn't even for decades, well, I shouldn't say for decades, for what probably felt like decades, for many years. I mean, within, almost a decade, 9 years essentially. They're coming back and they're redoing the voice for for a lot of these story changes and such. The point being, this thing was being pushed back and everything, so there was no idea how this thing was gonna turn out. Yet, all of this insanely sound like it's going to be a disaster. Sound like I don't know what's gonna. I mean, they're kind of again some of these some of these little tidbits they're giving us in kind of the sell and the synopses and the marketing. It seems really good, but by the same token, it could go really south. All of that, yet all of it pays off in what I describe as the ultimate epilogue piece that thankfully necessitates itself. My biggest fear is that this movie would not necessitate itself, and thankfully it does. It has substance, flawless animation, and a very fitting scale to the events. Again, this is kind of a smaller movie than the trilogy, and I really did appreciate that. It feels true to the Toy Story franchise, but at the same token, again, it doesn't feel like it's not trying too hard. Basically, it's not inventing a PS. Like PS, we weren't really done. It's it's not inventing. It's kind of letting the story naturally reach a very satisfying conclusion. And I can't say enough glowing things about the movie. I was just I was sweating bullets I was trying to distract myself, kind of going on full media shutdown. I just didn't want to think about it because I knew by sweating, tossing, and turning, oh god, no! What if it's not? What if it doesn't live up? What if they took they literally? I couldn't think of a better ultimate gamble than Toy Story 4. In my wildest dreams, Toy Story 4 never gonna happen, and it happened, and it's not the end of the world. Oh my goodness, it lived up to the hype, and it was wonderful, and it didn't besmirch the name of Toy Story. That's the simple thing. I just wanted it to be good, even if it wasn't great. I just wanted it to be good and just necessitate itself, and it did, and it surpassed my expectations. Which again, were just it could be one of the greats. They're coming back with a story that sounds like it'll be one of the old time greats. Versus again, it could be, oh god, what if they've cashed in for the 4, man? They joked about it in Muppets Most Wanted. God, what could happen? And I was a big, huge sigh of relief. Toy Story 4 was A-okay in my book. I loved it.
All right, Jacob, what's your thesis?
Well, it'd be kind of hard to top what Dragon just did, but this is a movie. We've pretty much been waiting for 9 years. I mean, some people haven't been waiting for that long, figuring that Toy Story 3 was the perfect conclusion. But I mean, I'm always eager for more Toy Story. I was even open to just more shorts in the vein of Toy Story of Terror and That Time Forgot, which are both
really absolutely fantastic shorts, by the way.
Level shorts.
Oh yeah, those are very good pieces. But those could have easily been Toy Story 4 in themselves. But I mean, those could have been expanded and been Toy Story for all themselves, as far as I'm concerned. But those were both, and those were enough to hold me over. I mean, those are like, okay, we're getting more out of Toy Story, but like, obviously, cue the skepticism when it was initially announced that obviously there's going to be an actual Toy Story 4. Like, very few movies reach the fourth movie and end up actually being, being worth actually being made. I mean, a lot of them barely even make it to the third movie without, like reaching a point where it's like, okay, what's the point anymore? But so obviously I went in with. But obviously, I was excited for it nonetheless because I'm a big Toy Story fan. I don't know if I'm as much as Dragon, but I can definitely say I'm a big fan of the movies, and so obviously I was excited, and I actually managed to snag a ticket for this Thursday before it even officially premiered, which was quite fun. I mean, the funny thing is, I got it like pretty much the day before, and there weren't a lot of tickets, and there were actually quite a few seats left. But when got the actual premiere, there's barely any seats left. Barely any seats left at all. So I was like, I'm glad I got it when I did. So, and I gotta say, I mean, the movie was pretty great. I mean, obviously Pixar's animation is top notch. I mean, it's probably one of the best looking movies they've ever made, especially when it comes to Toy Story. Pretty much the story. I mean, the story, like as you said, lower scale, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just like it has like this, just a laid back kind. Like you kind of need to dial it back after 3, so it's like kind of has a nice laid back quality to it, and then I could definitely appreciate the lighter tone and everything into that, like and everything. I mean, obviously, I probably wouldn't say it's as good as Toy Story 3, but it's definitely up there, and like it definitely lives up to the name Toy Story, and it's an impeccable legacy.
Right, so I heard a comment, like an observation on a YouTube video that just really stuck with me about this movie, and it's very simple. It's that Toy Story 3 is about what you do when you get left behind, and Toy Story 4 is about what happens when it's time for you to leave. And I don't know, I just think there's something really profound in that, and I just think Dragon put it wonderfully with the whole like the lost toy thing. And of course, by the way, folks, spoilers in case you haven't guessed, but the lost toy angle, the whole like, oh god, I'm a lost toy, and that coming around just so beautifully full circle. It's just like, Jacob, I will say that we argued the best Pixar arc. And if Toy Story 4 was a factor in the Woody versus Lightning McQueen fight, I wouldn't have stood a chance. I would not have stood a chance. Like this wraps up Woody's story so perfectly. It genuinely does make Woody, I think, definitively the best Pixar character of all time, the one with the most dynamic arc that's fleshed out over the best films. Yeah. I mean, and I guess when it comes to my hype for this movie, as Dragon knows, the one thing that really got me in terms of hype was the whole Tom Hanks, basically saying that the ending broke him. And it's like the thing with Tom Hanks, like actors say that movies are impactful to them all the time. But the thing with Tom Hanks is that I genuinely, like, he went into detail about it, right? Like, I genuinely believe, like, I know that Tom Hanks takes this role seriously, and I genuinely believed him. And so that's where my level of hype came in. And I got to admit, as the movie was going on initially, I was kind of watching, I was like, yeah, this is good. Not to throw more shade, but it looks like I'm certainly enjoying this. I certainly think it's deeper and more sustenance filled than something like Incredibles 2. But then that last 5 minutes happens. Basically everything from when the RV gets to the carousel. I haven't cried that hard in a movie theater since Muppets 2011 with the Rainbow Connection scene. I mean, it's just waterworks both times I've seen this movie. I mean, it's just like
But the biggest wham line, like Bonnie, will be okay.
Right.
Hope we have Double Dragon.
Double Dragon. It's like the arcade game.
Yes.
Which one do I shoot?
Shoot the ugly one. Oh wait.
All right, hold on. I hope this is right. You there, Dragon?
I think I am.
Okay.
Oh, thank goodness. Anyway.
Okay, that was weird.
Yeah, I don't know what happened
there. This is definitely the best movie of 2019 so far for me. I mean, that's like pretty definitive, like no question. Like I don't think I love this movie quite as much as Inside Out or Coco. I don't think it's quite as. I mean, the thing is, comparing it to Toy Story 3 and the rest of the Toy Story movies, like, I don't know. It's like, I even hate to rank it because it's like, it's such a different movie than the rest of the Toy Story movies. And it's more intimately Woody's movie than any of the other Toy Story movies have been. But by the same token, just because it is Woody's movie doesn't mean the ensemble doesn't shine in certain elements. Like, some of my favorite comedic bits are the side characters, which we'll get into. But yeah, I mean, I just think overall, all around, I'm so satisfied with this movie. I just think it's to quote Red Letter Media, Dragon,
it broke new ground.
Yes. It broke new ground because I think this is Pixar doing something that they have never done before, which is delivering a freaking outstanding epilogue. Yeah. Like, Pixar has never done an epilogue before to any of their stories, and this is their first attempt at it, and they absolutely knock it out of the park. I love this movie. I mean, and I'm starting to sound like one of those Red Letter Media, the Nerd Crew fanboys. Like, I love this film, but I'm sorry, folks. I don't know what it's like. This film has very little to complain about. It's rock solid throughout. It's just a freaking perfectly constructed machine at this point. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to put this up front right at the start of the conversation here. I want there to be a Toy Story 5 solely because now that we've seen the end of Woody's arc, I want to see the end of Buzz's arc. I don't think Buzz had enough to do in this movie. I want to see a movie specifically focused on Buzz. So, I mean, this movie not only is a perfect wrap-up for Woody, but I feel like it extends the life of the Toy Story franchise more than Toy Story 3 did. It's crazy. Anyways. All right, so God, we got a lot to get into. We're gonna try to not be so beat by this, but of course we have to start with the flashback.
Right, I'm sorry. Before we go any further, I just want to shout out someone in the comments. It's going to give a kind of a barometer for what we're working with tonight here. So we have Pink Pearl Disney Wishes in the comments. Welcome. And Pink Pearl Disney Wishes is kind of taking the Scott Mosier approach to what we're doing here tonight. She has not seen Toy Story 4 and just is kind of throwing spoiler cautions to the wind.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, she's going for it, man. I don't have to tell you. She's just all right,
that's your choice, It's all right.
Hey, it's the Scott Mosier approach. Never shoot down the Scott Mosier approach. The man made the Grinch. You never turn that. Point being,
I mean, it's no holds barred for this conversation. So
speaking of which, that's the thing. So just for anyone coming in to basically echo Tiki's sentiment there. Yeah, we're gonna be kind of jumping around a smidge. I mean, don't get me wrong, we'll talk about the end. We'll get to the end when we get to the end, let's say. But bear in mind, we'll build to the end, but everything else is gonna be. We're gonna be jumping around a little bit. After we get to like kind of the opening, and in between the opening and ending, we might jump around a smidge.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, so let's talk about the
basically we're gonna take it by character groups when we get everything up.
For the most, yeah, pretty much, yeah.
I'm sorry. Go.
Yeah, like character set pieces, pretty much.
Right. I'm sorry. Are you guys getting a delay on my end? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. All right, so yeah, the opening flashback. This is one thing that was spoiled for me, not necessarily what was going to happen in the flashback, but just that the movie was going to open with a flashback. But that's fine.
We finally get to see RC again.
Okay, first of all, I want to point out that remember that Disney debates question about what the what was it? The which Toy Story character should have an attraction?
Yeah.
RC technically wouldn't have counted in that round.
Well, no, he. Oh yeah. Well, you mean in terms because RC has a ride though. Well, he's going to have a ride. He has
No, RC has a ride already, and I'm saying I'm saying we missed a couple of characters on that. Like I just want to fact check that one.
Yeah, you're right.
RC has a ride. The Green Army Men also have a ride.
Hey, what is RC's ride?
RC is kind of like he's
like a half pipe where it's you just go up and down. It's pretty basic, but frankly, a lot more could be done with RC. But hey, within the parameters, he does technically have an attraction.
Okay, anyway, but back to the flashback.
Holy crap! First of all, I just want to mention one thing. Just the water and the rocks in that sewage. Just my God, that might be the most realistic Pixar water ever.
Well, first of all, just with the flashback sequence, possibly my favorite sequence in the whole movie. I mean, I love the flashbacks so much. It was the perfect note to open the movie on. Even you're right, Tiggy. The animation is sublime. But again, it wasn't necessarily a spoiler, but it was something I could probably smart guess would be the way we open the movie. I speculate maybe it'll be a way we open the movie. But in all honesty, though, just like the most harrowing. I had like a 30-second tease because it was on media lockdown. The 30 seconds I saw was like the beginning of Operation Pull Toy, where you look out the window, we see RC in peril, then okay, Operation Pull Toy, and that was like the end.
That is a good sell.
It's like it ends like right there, and I was like, no, God, I have to see what happened.
RC is one of those low key Toy Story characters that everyone loves, but who never has any time in the spotlight.
There's actually again, this just show we're just talking about the opening of the movie here.
Speaking of which, RC must have been sold between 2 and 3. Because I don't think he wasn't in 3 at all.
Well, which is why when I had that clip tease, I was like, oh no, we don't see RC.
Right.
I was kind of worried for a moment too. I was like, "Is that why he's not seen in 3?"
I had a feeling he was legitimately just going to get swept away, and it was going to be like a double whammy of emotion.
I know, me too. That's one thing that when I saw the 30 seconds of it way back when, I was like, "Oh God, no!" But seriously, so basically, right off the bat, they're hitting me with the scene I want to see most in the movie, and again, like we're going back essentially then. Roughly, again, I'd say roughly maybe it's either 99 or maybe like a year past when Toy Story 2. Again, it's in between 2 and 3, so maybe like a year or so after Toy Story 2. Point being, it's oh my goodness, it's because I know it says 9 years, and basically the discrepancy might be, again, it's not a problem in the movie. I'm just saying they say 9 years, and it's the idea. It's like 9 years would be the end of Toy Story 2 before where Toy Story 3 ended. And the shorts imply that a year has passed within. Basically, I think. It's 2000. The point being, it's 9 years from where we left off in Toy Story. That's the important part. Anyway, sorry. Back to
it's almost like 7 to 8 years before Toy Story 3.
Exactly. So it depends how you look. It doesn't really matter how you look. The point being, it's awesome. So again, the animation is. I'm sorry, there's so much with the Sims. I want to get it right. Okay. Mm-hmm. Best sequence of the film, Operation Pull Toy, because one, it's a harrowing rescue of RC in the rain. I love this sequence so much because, of course, with me, Tiki, one of the most nostalgic things for me is the ending of the first Toy Story, where we have that harrowing rescue where Slinky is holding Buzz and Woody while they're riding on RC. And, of course, we pay wonderful homage to that at the start of this. So they're hitting me in all the nostalgic places right at the start of this thing. Where one, it's like, because, again, I love Slinky playing a hero there and trying to save Woody on the moving van. The first one we have. And we play almost like an identical cue when it's like, it's again, I love. There's so much great, and the best way, again, in phrasing Toy Story 4 as a whole, against the ultimate epilogue, but also fan service in the best of ways. Because it's like this movie is made for the Toy Story fans. It is.
Oh, and
there's so many references.
Like that's one thing. It's like I don't know. It's like I feel like it's a more satisfying movie, like to the general public, than something like Endgame would be if you just go in cold and watch this movie. But I definitely think the broad scale appeal of Toy Story 4 rests, the more intimately familiar you are with Toy Story, the more you're going to get out of it.
But it does recap itself, so it's fun. But before we get to the recap portion of it, again, onto the harrowing rescue of RC in the rain, the Slinky Toy Story 1 callback where he's just racing there. Again, look at the scale on this. They have the toy scale. Again, they've done so many movies and shorts getting the scale of toys right. and it's a very, if you look at it, it's so mundane, but it is the most enthralling thing I've seen, where you have the wide, it's pouring rain. Of course, we have the Luxo lamp, that's just pouring rain. It's pouring rain, and we have, the toys.
That Luxo lamp transition is wonderful. Yes.
I mean, I love the Incredibles. The Incredibles 2, we had that great and then we just have like this might top that for me. And this, oh my god. Point being, when the thick of the rain, we see the wide shot where we see again, like they have like a light on RC, like a little searchlight on RC, so they can rescue him. Tell them like, hey, look, there's hope. Essentially, which is a little callback to get out of your whiskers from the first Toy Story movie. So we have this light coming down there. Dark, it's pouring rain, and we have just this epic shot of like Slinky and Woody just kind of like climbing from the window to save him. But again, it's like the wide shot. It's like the space of a parking space, pretty much. But again, it's like he's going to be swept down the storm drain. Oh my God! It's still the most enthralling sequence in the movie. They save him at the very last second again, and of course, like they barely reach him too, because Woody's pull spring was going to be a huge symbol in the movie. And the barrel of monkeys and Bo Peep saving the. Oh God!
And then after that, it's just totally triumphant, right? Like the whole scene is just like, yeah, that's like a great triumphant note to end on, and we're not going to feel anything after that at all except triumph, right?
As we've gone over here, again, there was no guarantee RC was going to survive, so it was just by skin your teeth, like, oh, thank goodness. And we save him, and then, of course, I also thought Bo Peep might have been a gunner, because, I know we said she went to a good owner, but Woody kind of said that in a blanket statement, like, all good toys have gone to new owners, which, again, we do pay off here. So, again, I'm saying in the moment, I was like, oh, man, when I saw like 30-second clip, I was thinking, okay, Bo Peep's going to help the rescue, and she's going to get swept away with RC. That was my thought. The 30-second point being,
it would have been great if RC was the skunk.
Yeah, man, that would.
I wish they would have done that. Now, I mean, it's like fine that they didn't, but
it would have been really hard to do. Plus the dimensions of they would have been right. It would have been cool, but I'm not saying it'd be impossible. It would have been tough. Anyway, so of course, on the whole, the scene. So, we're talking about the spectacle of the texture, the wetness. I mean, these are things that we would never have been able to do in the first Toy Story movie, let alone the second, to get it just this right.
Basically the only time settings of Toy Story the first Toy Story was night, like bright day and night.
You want to know how well they got recreating 1999 Toy Story 2? With this, you want to know how deep cuts they went with it on a rewatch. I saw this because I had a feeling this was going to be there, and it was, and it blew my mind because I rewatched it today. By the way, saw Toy Story 4 again today.
Oh, okay, cool.
There was an Easter egg in Toy Story 2 that Andy, in his new room, since the move from the first movie, he had a Bug's Life calendar, and if you look, it's a different page of the calendar. So again, it's probably a few months after the first Toy Story, after Toy Story 2. So it's a different page on the calendar, but it's still a Bug's Life calendar.
Oh.
I think it's like September or something. I think I can't remember. Oh God. So anyway, so of course the heart of the scene, that's what we got. So we already talked about the spectacle and the lighting and everything. Then we have the moment where Bo is given away, presumably to it's most likely kind of a passing of a literal torch, where I'd imagine a family friend has a daughter who's scared of the dark, like Molly was.
That seems like it's kind of implied, yeah.
This is where we get into the real meat of the story structure here in the foreshadow, and this scene is so brilliantly constructed. Oh my God! Where already they have you with the harrowingness of it all. So Bo Peep is given away, and Woody, of course, he's still on the outside there, and he goes to rescue Bo and tell her, "Okay, you'll get lost in the box. We'll hide in the bushes, all that sort of stuff." And they have this moment underneath the vehicle, and we saw like a glimpse of this in the marketing.
Andy, I'm not Andy's toy.
Yep, of course. Ever since the first one, of course, she's in Molly's room. They shared a room way back when. She's always been Molly's toy, and it's just the moment and the hesitation under the car. I love the lighting and everything. Again, it's like pouring down rain, but we have a little bit of lighting behind them, so it gives this really intimate, quiet, they're guarded from the rain for how kind of deep and emotionally intense this is, just how kind of quiet this moment is. And the hand bit, where basically, it's like the hands on the box, where basically it's the question, are you going to get in the box or not? Where she just has this wonderful romantic gesture of toys get lost all the time. Sometimes they end up in the other box. Where in this moment, even better, in this moment, you see, again, this is why this is like the ultimate fan epilogue piece. You're answering some questions we didn't even need the answers to, but it's little bits and pieces there. This is where Woody got the idea at the end of Toy Story 3 from that line. Oh, anyway, so just it's the staging of the stage. I believe I'm not going to go as
Okay,
deep.
you know what?
Saying,
I'm going to get into my favorite little detail of this scene. All right,
go on.
Okay, so I love when we get that dramatic, like the guy picks up the box, the car pulls away, Woody's in the rain, Andy picks up Woody, and holy shit, the subtle change of expression on Woody's face from sad to happy as Andy picks him up.
Yeah.
Oh God! I mean, there's stuff like that throughout the movie with Woody's animation, but that's like the first bit of it where it's just like, oh, dude, they're doing things with Woody's face that they've never done before in this movie.
Okay, and even better. Okay, so again, believe me, we're not going to go as beat by beat. This is the opening flashback is super important, though. The only reason,
like the opening flashback and the ending are going to be the things we go beat by beat.
That's what I'm saying. This is really important.
Fine with that.
Okay, but here's the thing. So the thing that gets me about this, again, I'm already hit. They already got my money with the RC thing. All right, they already have my money. But this is the bit where this is like,
hang on, RC.
Oh god, and it's such a wonderful payoff of Slinky saving RC, man. Oh god. Anyway, so point being, so again with the hand bit and everything, we're kind of setting up here. I just love the bit where basically all of Woody's arc and the struggle of Woody is in this scene where again he has the moment of like she's offering him a way out, and Andy is calling for Woody. He says, "I can't find Woody." It's like the two paths are right in front of our eyes right now. The boy who needs his toy, and Woody seeking something outside of his purpose, his job and his purpose. Basically, he puts his job and his purpose before his happiness, and of course, you have the age-old parallel, of course, where I'm not the first to make this observation, but of course, you have like kind of the perennial child relationship with kind of like essentially Woody having. Unfortunately, that was like the one thing. Look, it's not a problem with the movie at all. It's like the one thing people speculate over, maybe with any flashback or any kind of discussion we did address the whole Andy's father thing, but it's a done issue. It doesn't matter. The point. What I'm saying is, Woody's always had a bit of. We always parallel how parents, it's like parents watching their children grow up, and vice versa. The point is like Woody's devotion to Andy is very much kind of a little bit of a parent-child dynamic to an extent, and the parallel you have here is a parent's duty to the child before their own happiness. That's the biggest kind of one of the big themes of the movie.
It's interesting that you bring that up because I definitely think this is very much a movie about kids leaving the nest.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. You hit it right on the head. That's exactly what the big theme of the movie is. Like a huge theme of the movie.
But like I said, it's Toy Story 3 was the movie about kids leaving the nest, and this is kind of like what happens when the nest is empty again.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
So then we have we go from this. They already emotionally. It's just, and of course, I heard Just in the Hat motif. All that. So all that is wonderful. And as you mentioned, the Woody's kind of face kind of going to the default state again, just like completely, utterly. Again, he had to say goodbye to the person, one of the people he cared about, and he's known longest in this world. And now he's with Andy. And of course, then we have the opening that essentially is kind of the full circle epilogue, as well as just kind of a reward for the fans, as well as just kind of like a recap for any newcomers for like the Toy Story franchise. No opening.
The other moment that made Tiki cry consistently both times he saw it.
Yeah, and I mean, here's a moment. I had a big gasp-worthy moment in this. I felt so geeky. Like, oh man, it's not reflecting me well. But it's the little things. I remember that when we were like going frame by frame in the trailer, I noticed this, and we had like the big moment dedicated to this here, where we recapped the three movies, and the thing that made me geek out a whole lot during this was the fact that we mirrored the opening of Toy Story, where it's specifically Woody is our perspective, kind of going around the environment like he was way back playing with Andy in the very first Toy Story movie. And we even do, when Woody is pulled away from frame, we reveal Toy Story 4, reveal the logo as he's pulled. They mirrored it identically, but then they plussed it by going through all three movies within Woody's perspective, which in itself is tremendous. But then it ends on the really, again, we see Andy under Woody's boot, and by the end it's Bonnie on Woody's boot. That still gets a gasp. It's like Bonnie on Woody's boot. Never thought I'd see the day.
All right. Good stuff. So let's get into the status quo and Forky and all that. So before we get into Forky, let's talk about like where Woody starts out at this movie, where he's he's more neglected in this movie than he was in the original Toy Story when Buzz was getting all the glory. I mean, he's basically a closet toy at this point.
Exactly. I think
Yeah.
one of the other. Sorry, go on.
It pretty much begins like, well, the only reason they're all in they all start out in the closet, and obviously considering the lesson, you begin to assume the wars are like, oh no, they're being forgotten again. But then no, it just turns out they're doing like my mom's vacuuming, and they're all just in the closet.
Oh,
But
they're playing Hat Shop. I haven't played that in years.
One of
pretty much everyone gets chosen except Woody, and that pretty
Mhm.
much like sets off like Woody's older ego. Sets off Woody's ego. It's like you're not choosing me. How could they possibly? How could she possibly not choose me?
Well, you know, it doesn't necessarily set out off his ego. It sets off his insecurity. Like, I feel like Woody is.
Ego, insecurity. I mean, it kind of comes off as an ego at first.
I
Yeah,
didn't read it that way at all.
yeah, I didn't read it that way.
Let me frame it
I
like
feel
this,
like
guys.
Woody kind of developed like in the first movie it was definitely ego. I feel like by this movie it's more of a pride thing. And again, ego, pride, very similar concepts, but I like Woody has matured through these movies.
And his last name is Pride too. So
Yeah.
anyway, so okay, here's the thing. A little fun fact for anyone who just doesn't know: Sheriff Woodrow Pride. So guys, here I think another big theme of the movie basically feeds into the whole kind of the perennial child relationship. But one of the gutsy issues in this movie, I feel, is underappreciation. Again, whether it's the way you could look at it, underappreciation, whether it be of toy or again parent even, because again, Woody has made a sacrifice here. Because think about it, I think a little bit of what drives Woody's, kind of dependency with Bonnie and that whole storyline is Woody is trying to justify his choice at the end of Toy Story 3. I think he's trying to justify he could have been with Andy and gone to college and everything, but he instead, again, he was looking again. He's basically trying to, even though he's being cast aside, he's just trying to convince himself. It's like, yeah, I'm still, because again, it must really hurt his feelings. And again, it's a little bit of, it's also something we kind of set up in two things. We kind of set up the idea of like, Woody being, Woody has been cast aside, and of course, a toy being cast aside or kind of being played with by Bonnie, but in a way that is unsatisfactory to him. Is something we addressed in Toy Story: The Time Forgot with Trixie. And of course, very full circle to being replaced as the favorite, where again, Woody had kind of a special introduction with Bonnie, but again, as we see, Dolly is the oldest, probably most likely the oldest and kind of head toy.
I love I wish I mean, I guess it's developed good enough, but I do feel like what little we do see of that dynamic between Dolly and Woody is pretty good. Like, I feel like that was a nice little dynamic they had going on where they're both kind of like the leaders of their respective, their respective groups.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a big gamble. I felt this was really risky. That it's not unrealistic what happens here with Bonnie casting Woody's side, because again, kids' favorite toys will change, but especially, I think they risked, and I think it was a risk that did reap great rewards. And I could be crazy here. I think it's like they risked an unlikable Bonnie at points in this movie, I felt. And I don't think she comes off as unlikable. I feel
she's so wily, but I wouldn't call her unlikable.
That's what I'm saying. Again, I'm saying she's at risk of being that, but the story compensates for that.
I would describe Bonnie as like a realistically annoying little kid in this movie, and we get a lot of really good humor from the dad out of that.
And that's what I'm saying. So what I'm getting at is that I think for me, the moment that saved her, and you're right, the father stuff is also, again, realistically compensate for what we're doing with
Dad going to jail.
Like Dad being sent to jail.
Can I just say consistently that whole running gag got the biggest laughs in my theater.
Same, pretty much.
That's the thing. I feel Bonnie again. I think it was starting. I think it was risking kind of an unlikable Bonnie until the Forky moment. Until Forky entered the fray. That's when things were redeemed. Okay, I see.
What I was hinting at with the annoying thing, though, is like I feel like there's one too many moments of like, I can't find Forky.
But again, we see the significance Forky does play, so you get it. But again,
also, like I said, the annoying stuff is kind of countered by the comedy we get out of the dad getting more and more frustrated by the situation.
Precisely. So let's see. So Bonnie, what we explore Bonnie again, building to the interlaying into the Forky stuff here. So Bonnie, I felt we explore something we've always set up with Bonnie, and we kind of had even there ever since the first introduction of Bonnie to Andy and to even Andy's mom. Bonnie has always been a little bit of a shy kid. Bonnie has been shy, and I think we've explored that. We kind of developed the shyness, and we actually said something quite smart about it here, where she's in her first day of pre-K, and kindergarten. Sorry, I'm thinking of Sunnyside is pre-K. This is kindergarten. Anyway, sorry. So
the point. It definitely seems like a nicer place than Sunnyside was.
It does. So, and again, a place where toys aren't necessarily allowed in the place. And that's the big delineation from Sunnyside. They hidden the wording very specifically. Toys aren't brought to kindergarten. I'm not saying there aren't toys in kindergarten. I'm just saying the whole Sunnyside per se. Anyway, point being, so Bonnie, I think we explored Bonnie's shyness as kind of like a social character flaw that I would argue stems from her style of play. Because remember, her style of play is very self-involving and very kind of like she keeps to herself with play. I'm not saying we haven't seen her play with other kids, but usually it's like kind of an orchestrated play date, not like her having made friends.
Right, yeah.
So I think we kind of explore that here, and that kind of forays into the creation.
We generally see a Pixar character with social anxiety, and I think that's a pretty, and as someone who struggled with social anxiety all my life, I thought that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah. So the creation of Forky, what I love so much about the creation of Forky is Woody is responsible for Forky in many literal and figurative ways. He is responsible literally for the creation of new toy life. So many people have raised questions about the creation of Forky. Basically, what's the X factor? What brings a spork to life? And as far as I know it's not.
I would say it's the writing the name on the bottom of the foot.
That is an excellent.
That's my theory on it.
That's an excellent theory. I'd hesitate on one thing. I think that kind of complete. Let me put it this way. I've looked at it this way. So, I think it's a child's love and being deemed their toy. Where usually, basically, the most visual way is being written on there. But I'm sure some toys don't have writing on their feet. So I'd imagine when you're deemed a toy by someone, you then come to life. Child's love and being deemed a toy.
That was pretty much what I was gonna say. It's like. And technically, he didn't even come to life immediately. It was just like he came to life in front of Woody too. Obviously Woody wasn't even anticipating. Forky just basically popped into life, and Woody's like, ah!
Okay, you guys realize the equivalent to this? Again, it's kind of a game changer in the Toy Story world.
Oh yeah.
The equivalent to this would basically be seeing a car being manufactured in the Cars universe. And seeing the insides of the car and everything, literally opening the car door.
Did you ever see that?
No, you because the animators have said we've seen drawings of what it looks like, and the animators have specifically said the opening, if you open the car's door, that's where the brains are.
I know, yeah. That's you and I saw the same thing. That's what I was thinking of right there. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was Rob Gibbs who did that one.
You get my point. It's them exploring this territory is if the Cars movies suddenly started going into all right, you wanted to know how this world works. Let's get into how it works.
Well, technically, one of the deleted scenes in the first Cars is transplanting in Lightning McQueen's engine into the plow machine.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, it was really creepy too. It was that's
the main reason they didn't go for it, because it raised all kinds of existential problems.
It's an ethical issue, so it's just really wrong. I mean, Doc Hudson was the doctor in the town, as in he performed illegal surgery on Lightning McQueen.
Oh no.
Yeah, the storyboard even showed Lightning McQueen's lifeless body.
It made Mater really evil too, where Mater basically steals Lightning's body too.
Oh Jesus! Okay, I have to see this.
You gotta look. It's storyboarded, man. Yeah, it's horrifying.
There's a reason why they didn't go with that.
Yeah, but it's fascinating stuff. Anyway, so the point being, I think what we're all circling around here is the idea that again, they kept it a little vague, but again, the details are there for you to inform your own opinions. I'm taking a definitive stance on it, but it's kind of there.
Okay, I'm going to, I don't know how to talk about this sensitively, but Forky to me is, dare I say, suicidal.
Yeah, it's very fascinating to bring that, because I know exactly what you're referring to.
It's I don't necessarily, I don't necessarily know if that's what they were going for or not, but I mean, at the very least, the gag of the trash is he definitely wants to I mean, they play it up as a gag. I don't necessarily think they're saying anything more about the deeper, like, okay, let's genuinely explore what it means to be like suicidal and have depression and stuff like that. Like, that's more like, not the suicidal thing, but the depression thing is more like Inside Out territory. But I definitely think that there's some dark. I will say the stuff with Forky in the comedy department, like, I would say definitely it's the darkest comedy that we've gotten in this franchise from Pixar.
Well, let me hold one second. First off, I want to say Pink Pearl has to leave. So thank you for joining us, Pink Pearl. We'll see you some other time. Otherwise, it was like, oh yeah. So here's the thing with Forky. So the fascinating thing with Forky, I read it as Tiki. I didn't quite read it as. I see where you're coming from with the suicide. I mean, you're not necessarily wrong. Here's what I read it as. I read it as, Forky's. First of all, Tony Hale do an excellent performance on Forky. We'll get into that in a second.
Oh, okay. Hold on. 1 second. I need to relate something personal with Forky. So it might not necessarily be suicide, but I definitely think there's an air of self-deprecation involved with Forky when he's constantly calling himself trash. And I to say, you all know that I kind of can get hard on myself, and I struggle with that a lot. I struggle with with self-affirmation. And I don't know, I feel like there's a little bit of that in there too. Like, here's the thing with Forky. I don't necessarily think Forky is meant to be a mirror for one necessary mental illness, but I do think they sprinkle in a little bit of depression, a little bit of like he's clearly wanting to kind of off himself, which is played for comedy. But I do think, just generally speaking, there's a lot of like mental illness themes that could be viewed with Forky.
I read it more as just existential naivete.
It could definitely be, I mean, you're right, Jacob. I think you're probably more on the money than I am, honestly.
I mean,
like,
the
writers we're going for.
I mean, there's obviously nothing wrong with applicability.
Yeah.
I'll meet you in the middle.
Too far into this and trying to apply it to my own life, but
well, real quick, T, I'll meet you in the middle in one regard with that. I'll meet you in the middle in that they might be bringing up the issue of kind of a trash deprecation thing, but I don't think they're really trying to go uber far with it. It might be a little. I think they're bringing it up. I don't really think they're trying to do it.
I mean, I will say that that some of the moments where kind of Forky, like, he's calling himself trash, but then he realizes the the value in himself, like, that to me did kind of, like, I did get some personal value out of that,
But here's the fascinating thing about Forky. So Forky is, he is, his purpose and his destiny is to be trash. His destiny is to be thrown. Of course, one of the great lines from Tony Hale is, I was made for salad.
I was made for soup, salad, maybe
chili, maybe even chili.
Maybe even chili. And then the garbage.
So that's the thing. So the fascinating thing is that his purpose in his destiny is the trash, which, of course, as we explored so memorably in Toy Story 3, is every toy's worst fear.
Oh, God.
And that's to me, is what's so fascinating about Forky, where, again, his dream is every toy's demise. So in that sense, you're right. There is a bit of an edge to him. And again, whether he all he knows is he goes to the trash. And
I'm not saying that they're trying to make like some big
I wonder
suicide or anything, but I am saying that there are some dark undertones.
That's what I'm saying. I think undertones to that extent. Yeah.
But I wonder if that mirror, like the mirror to 3, was intentional. Like, I mean, they never brought like, okay, toys that, like, they never said toys don't belong in the trash in this movie, but I just wonder if that was intentional or just like him just.
We're just trash waiting to be thrown away.
I think it has to be a little intentional in the writing. That's what
I mean, most likely. I mean, this is Pixar we're talking about.
I'm saying, just
like, everything else in this movie connects back to something else in the franchise beautifully. So
to me, just the Forky, all the stuff we just went over with, again, like, the whole Destiny trash things. I think Forky's possibly the most genius illogical logic yet in the Toy Story franchise. He quite possibly made.
He can't get much different than a living spork.
And also, I liked how Forky just visually and just kind of his design just kind of reflects Bonnie as a creative oddball. Just to, kind of it's the kid, kind of. It's also the fact that in the actual inspiration of Forky is how kids personify items that aren't toys. Sometimes, the age-old joke like the kid's playing with the box before he's playing with the playset. That's sort of gay. It's kind of based on a real life phenomenon.
That makes me wonder if any boxes ever came to life in this universe because people played with them.
It is interesting.
Oh, that's a really interesting idea, actually.
So, of course, Tin Toy. Oh my God, Tin Toy. Play with the box before you play with the toy.
Right.
Speaking of Tin Toy.
yeah, we'll get to him. So I love that Woody is watching him like a child, and of course, he is kind of the connect to Bonnie and the connect to like the new mission, and again, very much, yeah.
He's a spoil.
Yes. And his connect to Bonnie is sort of like it's basically the connect that Sporky has to Bonnie is very much like the connect that Buzz had to Andy. Where again, I have to say Buzz because he's my bridge to Andy, and kind of remaining. I can't go back to that room without Buzz. That sort of mentality. It's kind of where he's looking at more and kind of like, again, he's responsible for him in the sense of I'm kind of responsible for his creation as well as. As well as just kind of like making sure he doesn't throw himself away. Because again, it's like, what do you take responsibility for like the defect within this new life that you create? Again, they're really screwing some really big philosophical issues, and I dig it, man. So let's see. So basically, I love it on the road. Basically, of course, at this point, basically without going through every beat and such. Basically, Woody and Sporky, they're kind of paired together during the movie, and they kind of bond together. By the way, the animation on Forky, of course, we have Tony Hale's wonderful performance. Tony Hale, by the way, for those who may not be aware,
I love how nothing ever stays in place perfectly on Forky.
Yeah,
how one eye's bigger than the other.
I love how he's animated almost to stop motion. It's like he was animated pretty much how the one Lego when we had the Lego in live action that's moved in the Lego movie, we have Emmett moved in live action with the magnets, the way they shoot that. I love how he moves almost exactly like that, the way he moves, like when he's dragging him down the street and everything.
Like especially highlight like when he's trying to catch up to Woody, he's like, "Carry me? No."
Yeah, I guess like a little hopping with a stick and everything. The gum is like the closest thing he has to legs.
Of course, I love Woody's slip up with Andy instead of Bonnie.
It's like, who's Andy? Which actually does quite pay off later.
And again, kind of trying to justify this new life course again, the empty nest syndrome there, where it's like without who I am defined by, what am I?
Exactly.
And of course, the biggest parallel you have with Forky is that Woody himself. If you really want to look at the big heady kind of arc of Toy Story as a franchise, Woody's arc is again like Woody. These guys, they were kind of destined to the trash for a moment there. Again, their lives, were essentially they were kaputzi without that kind of that Deus Ex Machina in a good way of the alien saving with the claw. In that sense, they were trash, and of course they were saved from that. And it's kind of a question of Woody, again, kind of fitting in a little bit what you're saying, take a little bit. Is again, Woody is kind of in trying to explain what a toy is. Of course, Woody and Sporky are kind of referring themselves as trash to an extent. And again, that's mainly the way Woody can refer to it. Again, Woody is sort of like, again, when you are thrown away, when you are cast out, when essentially you play into what everyone, like what Lotso and what the Prospector have always warned you about. You go rotting in some landfill, we're all just trash, waiting to be thrown away when we do that. I love that that's kind of what Forky represents to Woody. It represents how Woody potentially sees himself, but there's so many great parallels between Woody and Forky. Where again, Forky was kind of a gutsy glimpse of like, okay, Toy Story 4 is going with a spork, which again, I saw like the potential, the potential. Like, oh god, what are we saying about the creation of life within the Toy Story universe? But still, if you're not thinking about it, you're looking at that's the best they could come up with, a spork, really. But again, amazingly, it panned out so well. And Tony Hale, for those who may not be aware, of course, he's one of the big reasons to watch Veep. He's wonderful there. He's just a really
development as well.
That's a huge one for him. He's had some not so flattering roles in like Alvin the Chipmunks, but let's focus on the positive here. He voiced the Joker in the Ninja Batman anime.
Did he? Huh?
Yeah, I thought he was really good at it too. Anyway, so the point being, so again, we kind of set up to Woody and anything else you want to say about kind of Woody and Forky as a whole here? Is Forky?
No, I think we're good.
Yeah. Other than imagining how long it would take them to take toys to walk 5 miles.
Yeah, I got. Well, they're bunking out. Yeah, I was gonna raise that question myself in the theater, but honestly, it's the fact. Well, they're kind of bunking out
I
that
mean,
the RV.
I don't know. It's like for the sake of the story and all that. It's
I
like,
feel like it's kind of like the we don't care factor.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's like. I mean, realistically, it would take them days to walk that far, but who cares?
Yep. Well, again, we saw Woody can
I
actually
take like the Smash Brothers logic of like they're small, so therefore they move faster.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, okay, so basically their little journey takes them to the Second Chance Antique Shop.
Located in the charming town of Stanton Beach.
Beach.
Well, guys, I hate to on a rewatch. This kind of became clear to me. Remember, the
Oh,
carnival
God.
was moving, so they went to Stanton Beach. They weren't there at Stanton Beach.
Yeah.
Wait. So, okay. So the town itself is not Stanton Beach?
No, it's like Grand Basin. It's where the antique
son
shop.
of a bitch.
But again, they go to Stanton Beach though.
Honestly, just the fact that Stanton Beach is in there at all is really cool.
That's the thing. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I do love it. They have yeah.
Andrew Stanton has been pretty much involved in the writing of nearly every Toy Story movie.
Yep, and of course this one as well. He was basically the very original draft, and maybe I imagine the first few iterations at Stanton Magic Baby. Stanton Magic Baby.
Like he's made some of my favorites.
I do idolize Andrew Stanton as not only a director but especially as a writer. Oh my goodness, Andrew Stanton, one of the best.
Well, Wally especially for me.
Sure. Okay, so I gotta say, some of my favorite Pixar commentators. I mean, Pete Docter, they're great, but I mean, the most informative ones are Andrew Stanton has the most informative commentators.
It's like the behind the scenes stuff of Finding Nemo blew my mind.
Oh yes. All right. So Second Chance takes us to the antique shops. Basically, we're going to cover all the Gabby stuff here, folks. Basically, let's talk about like the setting and like
the most complex Pixar villain ever.
Yes. So
it's so complex that people are arguing that she's a villain, and I would say, hell yes, she's a villain. She's trying to steal Woody's kidney, basically. It's like she's like basically human trafficking body parts. She is absolutely a villain, but they do such a good job of redeeming her and making her sympathetic by the third act that people are like reluctant to even call her a villain. And honestly, that's a fucking magic trick. That's a magic trick of writing that they pulled off with her. I gotta tell you, on a second viewing, the Gabby stuff really started to shine for me. Oh man. I mean, there is, like I said, there's no way you can't call this character a villain when 2/3 of the movie she's trying to steal Woody's kidney, basically. It's total like body horror stuff. So it's I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm in love with it.
I also am in love with it, but I'd like to talk about just the antique shop setting as a whole for a moment, if I may, before we get really deep into Gabby. Because Gabby, we're going to spend a lot of time with Gabby here before we get into like all the nitty gritty. I mean, just the setting in itself. I love the antique shop and that. We
work in a thrift shop. I work in a high-end thrift store. We call ourselves a boutique shop. So it's like I can definitely relate to this setting. This definitely reminds me of where I work. You know, like items kind of get lost and forgotten about, much like we see here. It's like, oh, hey, a customer just pulled out that thing that I forgot about from like 6 months ago. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff happens all the time in my store.
Something really trippy that occurred to me on the rewatch was that, oh my god, the events of this movie, I mean, once we get to Grand Basin, it's 24 hours.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, again, like this, the antique shop is again like a lot of our movie is set at the antique shop. Again, basically, kind of most of, I mean, basically all some of our big climaxy stuff is the antique shop as well as then we get to the fairgrounds and the carnival specifically. But I mean, like
this is like one of the very definitions of a bottle movie.
Yeah, like our low of lows is in the antique shop, and basically our big rescue mission, our low of lows, all of this within the antique shop is big. And I love that, again, this is a version of, basically, this is a more hopeful version of, I say hope in the sense of like, Bane in the Dark Knight, or like in Dark Knight Rises, where it's like, hope is like a poison almost. Where again, it's really fascinating, where we use hope as, think about how sadistic in concept the antique shop is for toys, where this is a more hopeful version of being shelved, where you see potential owners coming in all the time, But again, they're coming in. If it's an antique shop, so rarely you're going to have people getting antique toys unless you're really in the market for them. You're rarely going to have kids getting antique toys in this place. Yeah. It's like teasing. It's poisoning you with hope. One could say.
I mean, I wonder how Lotso would react to that.
Well, I'm more so in the prospect. Here's the thing: get my comparison for Gabby Gabby. She's like kind of a three-pronged sort of combination. Again, she's her own thing. Bear in mind, I'm saying in terms of like paying off things in the Toy Story franchise. Think about this. She's kind of a combination of, in part, of the mutant toys, where again we have a definitely negative kind of villainous interaction. Of course, we see she does villainous things at the start. Absolutely,
like they're very self-aware when she shows up. Of like, she's got that classic Lotso, like, oh, she's the new character who's incredibly accommodating to our heroes, and just like to a creepy level, just very, very nice and outgoing. It's like they play that up to a T. It's like they're not shying around with it. They're not trying to make it a twist. It's like at this point it's become a staple with these movies.
Yeah, it's like the idea of like you would think about this. One part mutant toys, where again we have that initial we react for like, oh my god, they must be cannibals. And of course we realize there's more to them. But there is a lot more to Gabby Gabby. Of course, she does do some villainous things. I make no dispute she wasn't even very villainous at the start. But again, it was for a deep down we understand her reasoning. Whether again,
not to mention her slappy henchman.
Absolutely, and then we have, yeah.
Do you want to talk about the dummies for a minute? Because I have things to say about.
Well, I wanted to get through my three-prong thing, but by all means,
sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You have the mutant toys. You have a lot of Prospector in Gabby Gabby. The idea of being shelled, and the idea like the Prospector was embittered because he was never bought. And again, basically until a toy collector, he could have been an antique shop for all I know. Basically on the shelf, mostly he was on a toy shelf until no one ever bought him until Al. Then third part of that is Woody. If we're deep at her core, there's a lot of Woody there.
Yeah,
the combination of those three characters. Okay, let's talk some dummies.
Okay, so I got to admit, guys, the dummies is probably like my most serious nitpick that I have with this movie. And the nitpick that I have is that I honestly feel like if they would have, like, I get it, like the strength in numbers thing for plot reasons. It's, you kind of have to have like the whole security force and everything. But I don't know, like, the dummies, like, I've never really sat well with the whole idea. Like, it very clearly feels like they were inspired by Goosebumps. It's not the most creative thing.
That's not really, why is it the worst thing in the world, though?
It's not the worst thing in the world. I'm just saying, like, for a franchise this creative, it's like, honestly, what would have sold me on the dummies is if they would have actually made it a Charlie McCarthy.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not wrong by the same token. Yeah, but it's just a more obscure, but it's kind of the same problem though. Teague, is the fact that it's very iconic. It's Charlie McCarthy, where again, it's
no. At least Charlie McCarthy is like a famous toy.
I think what you're looking for, Tiki, is if they had more of a package of different dummies, where you had maybe a Charlie McCarthy and a Goosebumps and a something else.
Yeah, that would have worked. Sure. I feel like it bothers me a little bit that the dummies feel a little bit copy and pasted.
I mean, here's the thing. So one, it just never really. I know it was an issue we kind of skirmed with way back in the trailers when we were breaking it down. I mean, for me though, the end result, I love how they move. I love the idea they're very non-vocal because they have no puppeteers.
I do like the non-vocal part of them. That is very creepy. Definitely not an idea that Goosebumps ever explored.
And thematic with Gabby Gabby, who again is searching for a voice.
Sure.
One could say searching for her inner voice.
I feel like I don't necessarily know how you would have done it with just one dummy. But I feel like if they would have given more of a focus to Benson and made Benson more of like a big baby type character, because like I feel like there's shades of a relationship with her and Benson, but I just don't necessarily feel like it was fleshed out like the big baby and Lotso dynamic was.
Yeah, but I don't know. I thought he was kind of
he's basically her wall of meat.
Yeah, exactly.
Or wall of wood, whatever he's made out of.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So let's just again really doing a deep dive into kind of the Gabby Gabby stuff. So I want to mention Christina Hendricks. I love just when I didn't know until like really shortly before the movie because again I was on lockdown and everything. Honestly, I don't know if I would have known if I just saw some non-spoilery kind of like interview stuff. I had Christina Hendricks plays Gabby, and I love Christina Hendricks. She was my favorite female actress on Mad Men, because basically Mad Men has three main female leads. You have Peggy Olson, you have Betty Draper, who I can't stand, and you have then you have Joan. I love Joan. That's Christina Hendricks' character, and she's on a show right now, which I recommend to everybody. It's on Netflix. It comes on NBC. Like the second season's on NBC. It's called Good Girls. It's like Breaking Bad with moms. She's amazing on that show. I can't get enough of her. So she really brought it. I found out that she, as a girl, she loved. Again, it was a complete coincidence. They didn't factor this into the character at all. It was by happenstance. Christina Hendricks was a big ventriloquist now as a girl.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, oh my goodness, she was perfect. She brought the acting caliber you want in this role. Again, she brought the layers where, again, like she's all pleasant and just like, really cordial, and she's all about the pleasantries, and I'll dig that in the character. and of course, but she's she's doing some really sinister stuff, but she's really kind of like comical. Basically, she has like a Victorian entrance. Remember, she has kind of this Victorian air about her and how she operates. Again, she's all tea parties and kind of, with like Victrolas, and she's kind of going around. I love how we use the baby carriage. It's almost like a handsome cab of sorts. It's like these great little touches. Again, paint her, and again, I really like we play the creepy ventriloquist kind of dummy card there. It's like, oh man, it's just something really off about all this. Again, kind of like that Mutant Toys bad first impression almost. But again, it's like there's like a high society menace about her. But yeah, and she is very pleasant. She has this wonderful layered aspect to her where, again, we see that she's quite pleasant with Forky. She genuinely befriends Forky, which is nice. I love that her imperative in life is based on the companion book that she comes with.
Yeah.
Literally, she's trying to make her destined purpose, like, you have a tea party and you have your string pulled and then you speak. And again, like she's a 50s toy, just like Woody, and desperation is what kind of makes her. Basically, she and Woody are definitely desperation is a motivator. Woody in kind of a self-denial desperation. Desperation, in her case, where she fully accepts, like, yes, I'm desperate to be played with. And again, it's kind of a warning to what Woody could become. Again, if you're all encompassing, and potentially, again, if you're doing whatever you do in any cost, you could become something. I don't know, it's a little bit of a parallel there, I guess.
For sure.
Oh my god, though, I got to tell you, because you spoke of it so well here, just the harvesting of the voice box for a transplant. I never in a million years would I have expected that for a Toy Story movie. And here's the thing. So again, learning that the voice box is sewn within Woody is one, just like her asking for the voice box in itself, was like, okay, that, and pulling out her own voice box too is like a natural thing. It's like, okay, this is uncomfortable. And then
what was once a joke in a Toy Story 2 blooper is now a serious thing.
Yep. So that's the thing. It's so basically we throughout this movie, I kept having a thing where, like, I was on the edge of my seat, and basically, I kind of mentioned this during the non-spoiler thing, where basically this movie would pose questions to the Toy Story fan of like, you can't do that, where it's like, you can't take Woody's voice box, and of course it's like, like a ... by the filmmakers, by the film as an entity, saying, well, he's not being played with, and chances are he's never going to be played with again by Bonnie. It's not likely to change, especially if he achieves his goal and gets Forky back. So why would he need a voice box? It's like that. I mean, dead right's the logic. Like, oh my god, it's like anything could happen. Like throughout this movie, anytime, like even Woody being left in the rain, it was like, oh man, we've never seen Woody left in the rain like that. But not even that. I mean, it's more so just it's like he gets his head stepped on, which is like a little
stepped on. Yeah, it's like all disfigured.
The thing again, here's the thing. That's actually a fun little, kind of deep cut thing with when the Woody toys are made. A lot of times they have a plastic head, and some of the, like, some models, like the more kind of like ragdolly types, they have like a plastic head. It's like empty on the inside, so it would do that sort of thing. And seeing that happen to poor Woody, and I got to tell you, that for me, I think it sounds ridiculous. That feels a little bit like, yeah, let's send Dad to jail. It's like, because he's the one who stepped on him. It's like he's stepping on Woody, and he's just, and then the point is, like, every time Woody was in peril, or like when the voice box was like being, in the tension of like the voice box being ripped out during, like, he grabs him by the pull string, it's like starting to tear out of Woody with the sheer strength of the ventriloquist dummy. It's like, oh my god, I was like on the edge of my seat, and then of course the ultimate, oh God, like Woody and like, a Toy Story character in some sadistic Victorian surgery creeped me out.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's kind of like the opposite of you can't rush art.
Exactly, but again, it's that sort of oh god, it's just I was in the edge of my seat for the whole movie every time something happened to Woody, and also the kids in the audience. They're like, I can't tell you how many times I was watching, kids were crying out Woody throughout the movie.
Kept turning to see your toes. Like for being a love story, a lot of this is kind of a lot of the scenes in there actually play like a thriller.
Well,
Yeah.
I made the comparison that like, okay, I called it Dunkirk, but I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to say like, if Toy Story 3 is Saving Private Ryan, then Toy Story 4 is Dunkirk.
Maybe I could buy that.
Dunkirk, but makes sense.
Well, maybe a straightforward Dunkirk,
Yes.
like a linear Dunkirk. Maybe.
Dunkirk makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Hey, you're allowed to diss on Incredibles 2. I can diss on Dunkirk.
Hey, fair enough. Totally fair. Totally fair. I love the hell out of Dunkirk.
So of course, so the arc of Gabby, here's to fully go through the Gabby, because Gabby has a wonderful arc here. So again, we start off like kind of a dark and scary idea, but at the end, there's a genuine appeal to all.
Like I said, I think the fact that people are so reluctant to call a villain who's basically trying to steal the main character's kidney a villain, like that's a magic trick, man. It's like, how did they do that?
So of course, I love that. Basically, at the low of lows, Gabby makes a genuine appeal to Woody here, and that allows him to self-reflect on, like, what do you do? What are you in this for? And kind of he reflects on things, and of course, that is him sacrificing kind of a piece of himself. Again, what he deems his inner voice, his inner purpose, a symbol of him as a toy. One could say it's him like as a toy with no owner. Like you basically a pull string is something that a human has to pull, or at least what is designed for a child to pull. So again, it's kind of like a symbol of the losing kind of what his whole world revolved around.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, so of course the arc of Gabby. So again, of course the big matchstick moment of the entire film. At least unless you guys saw a better matchstick moment, I'm not thinking of it.
I definitely think this is the matchstick moment for sure.
That's the thing, right? Because I'm not crazy. This has to be the matchstick moment. Where basically Gabby she gets the voice box. You can seemingly she's gonna be a Harmony. I gotta tell you, I got a good impression of Harmony in the beginning. I thought Harmony seemed like a nice girl, but then of course we have this moment here where Harmony. Again, well, kids are kids. It's not like she wasn't evil or anything.
I think it's super realistic. I don't necessarily even think it's unlikable. And honestly, that's one of the kind of themes running in the background of this movie that's interesting. Is just
realistic expectations.
Well, yes, and also just the fact that realistically. Kids are going to be less into toys, just in general.
I mean, again, the young kids are definitely ones.
Culturally, throughout the world, kids are less interested in toys because we're fucking slapping iPhones in front of kids' faces earlier and earlier and earlier.
Anyway, when you think about it, you have this thing where, okay, so her goal is to be played with, again, pretty much like the book that was written in the 50s. So again, it's kind of staring in the face, but again, you're so entrapped in things, you don't quite realize that, oh, wait a minute, until it's happening before you. Like, wait a minute, yeah, she's this doll from the 50s. Again, it's a novelty, don't get me wrong, but I mean, like...
It's basically, she was, like, living up to false expectations. Like, she's like, oh, Harmony has to accept me. She has to be the one that lives with me. It's kind of like wanting to be like her Andy or something like that.
And that's Jacob. That's exactly the point where again she did idolize Harmony. She put her on a pedestal. Like Harmony's perfect and everything. Where again, basically the message to Woody is here. Like again, you can't revolve around the one kid after and again it's kind of message again. It's kind of questioning life after your purpose. And it's like if you. Basically, especially with a stranger, like again, if you're not opened or in direct possession by this kid, like you don't forge that instant bond. Like again, you can't just. Again, it's a really adult lesson for a kids movie here. It's like don't project all these expectations onto a stranger. Off to somebody. Again, it's a gamble. Where again, it's like you're assuming things are going to go like this. Again, it's kind of like it's fantasizing. It's fantasizing the impossible, one could say. And it's a really adult and really well communicated lesson where she's tossed away matchstick moment, being well, what's going to happen now? Like her whole purpose was, we did all of that seemingly for nothing. Like we think, okay, she's going to be reunited. Then wait, no, what now? Matchstick moment.
And the music even the music even played at the end of that scene. It's like, oh, Harmony's gonna accept her. Like the music's actually telling you like it's gonna happen. It's like
Right,
then
right.
and then nope. It's like like nah. And then Harmony goes like
Yeah.
nah.
Yeah. She's
Like,
like
it's just so callous.
she's more dismissive of Gabby than Luke Skywalker is of the lightsaber in Episode 8.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
A little bit underappreciation as a theme, boys. I don't know what to tell you. So then we have the beautiful resolution of all this here. Lost toy in effect. Love the lost toy in effect payoff for her.
Like how she like the lost girl she finds.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Again, how better to kind of say
the lost toy to comfort the lost girl, and the fact that she's lost unto itself is what gives the lost girl comfort.
exactly. And I gotta tell you, there's a real feel good vibe in that. Scene. I think I'd like to think it communicated to the whole audience. There was just like a little girl being scared and alone, and again just being reunited with the parents.
Wild tidbit, but I noticed that the little girl was mixed race, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't quite know. Yeah, you're right though. Yeah, that's cool. So anyway, so again, like I love that that basically she happens upon Woody's realization as well, basically as Woody's making this similar realization, where it's the greater reward and purpose of a toy. Basically, it's a greater reward and purpose of a toy that Woody never considered. Where again, you can still help kid. Basically, you can help kids like he was trying to help Bonnie with the creation of Forky. A myriad of different ways. It's not just like you are basically again you're landlocked to that kid until they grow up, then you move on to the next kid, or else it's trash. Again, that's representation of Forky. Again, it's like kid, trash, one or the other. And again, if you're lucky, attic or pass on to the next generation. Where again, other kid in your future if you're lucky. Again, it's wonderful eye opening. Again, it kind of gets Woody to the ultimate realization of what he needs to do. So Gabby was very pivotal in everything there, and seeing a lot of himself, literally seeing himself and Gabby with the transplant of it all there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean that scene was like left a big impact. Like you could almost hear like people going, oh.
I tell you, I think Christina, she did a wonderful job in doing all that stuff. And Gabby was a wonderful new addition.
And when she's walking away in the girl's arms, it's just like basically she found her Andy.
Think about that moment though, that scared separation from the parent. That's going to be the big moment that bonds her to the child.
Like, she was lost too. Basically two lost souls who found each other.
Yeah.
And then they got found because of each other.
Yes. All right. So speaking of lost toys.
Yeah, so Bo Peep.
Yes.
I'm gonna get this out of the way right now. What do you guys think of the skunk?
The skunk makes wonder. I'm sorry, Jacob, you go first.
Like honestly, I thought it makes that's kind of interesting. Like it makes sense for a toy to move. It makes sense for a living toy to get around unnoticed. I mean,
I would have liked a little bit of an explanation on how it was constructed.
I imagine it's a twofold thing. It's one of two things. It's either, again, you're right, the explanation isn't there, but by the same token, I don't think they really want to get bogged down with it. But I would infer one of two things. One, it's either like I'm not much of a a hunter, like kind of like there are things where you would have like a fake animal of some to scare another variety of animal or pest, right? So perhaps like for hunters or something, like like a way of like maybe scaring away animals like like who naturally fear the spray of the skunk. Perhaps like you'd have like a skunk of some variety, and perhaps it'd be something on wheels so you can move it around and scare the animals up. I don't know. So maybe there isn't. I haven't looked into it. Maybe there is an existing version of like a skunk thing, or the more accurate thing, because it does have a radio control. But my factor is that it's kind of a pache of it. Basically, it's a radio controlled car, whether it be like a fully like a skunk on wheels or just like a taxidermied skunk that they have put onto a radio controlled car that they use with like another controller. It's one of the two. It's either fully constructed or just they built it. Pache of things.
Yeah, that said, it makes the perfect cover because very few humans want to mess with the skunk either.
Exactly. So I love the logic of it. Kind of justifies a skunk to be anyway. So it's great logic.
I mean, it's been about 7 years, so it's like an explanation really isn't needed.
Yeah.
All right. So Bo Peep, I mean, obviously, like way, way, way more complex in this movie than any of the other movies. I've heard some people like complain about. Go ahead. Sorry.
lots happened in 19 years.
Well, technically 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, well, let me put it this way: it's been 20 years since we've seen her.
Okay, I forgot Toy Story 2 came out in 1999.
Yep.
But lots happened in 20 years.
Yeah. So Bo. I'm sorry, Dave, you were about to say something about Bo Peep.
Oh, it's something kind of like political that I don't really want to get into. So
anyway, one, I love the inanimate reunion between Bo and Woody. It's so moving. It's like we're seeing Woody's.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. That's one of my favorite scenes in the film.
So much emotion from people not emoting.
Their faces are literally. It's like, how do they do that? How does Pixar do it? Their faces are literally frozen, and yet we feel all the emotions.
Yes,
the music.
The Newman score, buddy boy. The Newman score.
Yeah, that's how you do it. The music.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's like 50% of it, but
I mean the lighting is also just like the built-in, like the built-in
the lighting,
characterization,
the shot. I mean, it all goes together. That's a wonderful moment.
Oh yeah.
That's how they do it.
So Bo Peep, of course, as Tiga said, she's quite different than what we've seen of her in the past Toy Story films. Like now she's a scavenger. It's kind of
That scene reminds me of like a classic silent romantic comedy.
Yeah, to an extent, yeah. So Bo Peep, she's the scavenger who kind of learned from the best. Because we kind of glazed over this during the flashback because we didn't want to spend on every detail. But I love that we saw that Bo Peep. She kind of commanded Molly's room. Again, she kind of she told the Barbies where to go and everything. Again, she had a lay of the land. She was
the Woody of Bonnie's room.
Precisely, and that's the thing. So again, she being kind of an equivalent of Woody, and working in tandem with Woody, and vice versa. And she's kind of quite skilled, and again, even more kind of the unfamiliarity. Again, you gotta remember, Woody is quite the survivor outside of the again when he himself is kind of in the lost toy position in the trilogy, where again usually Woody's separated from the story, and he has to find his way back in some way, shape, or form. Woody is quite resourceful, and again we see Bo Peep is even more resourceful than Woody here, and she's a master of this new territory Woody's never really seriously considered. He's always been just kind of trying to get his way out of.
Point out, like, oh, Sheriff, I think you'd make a great lost toy.
Yeah, Annie Potts, man.
We also finally learned the names of her sheep.
Yeah, Billy Goat Gruff.
Yeah, but which we technically acknowledge because it's kind of acknowledged the fact that we've never learned it because Woody never knew them.
Yep, never asked.
He's like, and he also even gets the fact wrong that they're girls too. It's like he's like girls, yeah. He's like, yeah, that was awkward.
So something I like to speak of with Bo Peep, because of course the design work on Bo Peep. Again, she is very much a scavenger. I love how she's lost a few pieces of the old kind of.
I love that initial gag where her arm breaks off and she screams.
Of course, his fake is just scaring the crap out of Woody. Because Tom Hanks has said this going on ever since the first Toy Story movie. He's always said, "I just feel like I'm yelling throughout these movies," and he does yell a lot. And of course, we have a few excuses just to get Woody riled here. It's again, this is like the fun of Annie Potts, too. It's just I'm sorry, I'm glowing about Annie Potts because I keep on Young Sheldon. She's the adult players on Young Sheldon are really remarkable. I think she's one of them. She's great. So again, ever since that show started, it's like, oh my goodness, Annie Potts, good to see her after all this time. I mean, it's hearing her again in the Bo Peep role,
which is kind of funny because Andy's mom plays Sheldon's mom.
Which is trippy. So I mean, design wise, she looks great. You're right, T, with the limb removal and everything, and that's what I want to get to as well. So visually, I love that we're saying something in this movie about a sign of the lost toy. A symbol of the lost toy are the marks and imperfections, where the idea is over the years, she is made of porcelain, which is basically, for anyone wondering why Bo Peep wasn't in Toy Story 3, there are two reasons. One, Molly's toy. Secondly, she's made of porcelain. There's a chance she might not survive everything the toys go throughout the movie.
Oh God, right.
Especially one preschool toy, the preschool
in the incinerator.
That's what I'm saying. They should probably, I think, scientifically,
at the very least, there'd be some lasting body scars on that.
I can't speak to Kelvin or anything, but again, the heat in that room, I'm saying, some popping horror shows, I'd imagine.
Realistically, they probably would have melted just from the heat alone before they even got to the fire.
Exactly. The point being, Bo Peep, the idea is that Annie, again, because it was Molly's toy, Annie didn't have like a big connection, which of course to the last scene of the movie where, if he pulls out Bo Peep, what's he really going to say? I mean, she was the damsel in distress in all his playtimes. That's really all he had. The point being, we definitely went the opposite direction here, where, with the marks and the imperfections, symbol of the lost toy, of all those dings and just that character. And of course, by the end, Woody has all these stitches on his back and everything. He's missing his badge. He's missing pieces of himself. Therefore, again, he's visually become a lost toy through the through the progression of the film. So again, it's kind of a wonderful kind of visual kind of arc that we kind of show and kind of mirror within Bo Peep. And I've always loved, ever since they revealed what she was going to look like, I love the she's taken her skirt and it's multi-purpose, where it can be a cape, it can be just wear it as a dress. She can
way too much about the design. Honestly, I feel like people like take the internal logic of it way too seriously.
Hey, people also complained about Andy's redesign, but when basically young Andy basically needed a redesign.
Yeah. Anyways, I think she just, I like the redesign on her. I think she looks really cool. And of course, like they redesigned the face on her. I think the face, again, give her all that facial animation with the eyes and everything, just looks really good. And we got her a cake and we ate it too. We saw her in the flash, but we saw her now, so it all works out. So the Lost Toy lifestyles. We have a lot of great world building with the way Lost Toys operate. Let's talk about that for a spell here.
I don't really have a lot to add beyond what we've already talked about, honestly.
Well, the toys at the park. The idea is they live their day for kids that come off the bus and just rush to the sandbox like a stampede practically. Again, it's like they're waiting to be they kind of symbolize lost toys, and that they'll be found and they'll be in the same areas, kind of being played and just kind of wherever the wind takes them essentially, and it's just kind of that. Yeah.
I mean, it's basically a good version of the playtime from Sunnyside.
Yeah, it's kind of the Wild West of the daycare setting here. So, again, it's more of a Wild West versus it's not like a prison like Sunnyside eventually turned out to be. It's not like a whole being tortured and or being in prison, where you're just it's like the fun rolls in the town and then it rolls out. Of course, it's the resourcefulness of Bo Peep. She knows all the tricks, how to hide and everything in plain sight. She's been very skilled. And of course, they spoke of the skunk and everything. But let's talk about Giggle McDimples.
Yeah, she's a good character. I think she's probably the least dynamic of the new characters, but she serves her role pretty well.
I actually had a fun. Go on.
The most since she's small.
The thing I really like about her,
she's kind of like a law enforcement figure that respects Woody. I like that element of her.
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, that was nice. It's like, oh, you're a sheriff, Sheriff Woody.
But by the same token, she might respect the fact that Woody's law enforcement, but she's not going to take shit from Woody when it comes to disrespecting her girl.
Yep.
It's like she's out there to respect Bo Peep.
Essentially, she is Bo Peep's Slinky. That's the gist there. If you want to make the actual, possibly Buzz Lightyear, but I'm saying the classic sense Slinky, but again, post Toy Story, probably Buzz Lightyear. Here's her other half. Her de facto.
You can make the argument like Bo Peep is she's Bo Peep's Rolf the dog or Fozzie Bear, depending on the time period.
There you go. That's a good one. And of course, the thing I actually have a fun little Toy Story connect here, where I have basically she's in, I guess you'd call it like a Polly Pocket. I guess basically it's kind of, I don't think they can.
A Polly Pocket.
Yeah. Here's the thing, I don't know if they can legally say Polly Pocket or not. The point is it's obviously inspired by a Polly Pocket.
I think if they legally could, they would have.
I think that's why they call it Pet Patrol, but again, it's another PP, a Pet Patrol Polly Pocket. Get it? So. Yeah, but regardless, I have something. I like them. I didn't get fully into the micro machines, but they have these micro plate. Yeah,
basically leaning on copyright.
Yes. So I have this. I have a few micro machines, like a few Batmobiles, like the animated series Batmobile, in the form of a micro machine playset. And I also have like I don't know if you call it like a micro machines or what, but it feels like it basically works exactly like the Polly Pocket. There's like a whole location within. It's RC. It's inside of RC. You open them up, and you have Andy's bedroom, and you have like little tiny Buzz and Woody and a few of the characters in there. So again, it's getting a little similar to something they've actually done for Toy Story with a little micro playset. It's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So again, she's very small, very can-do. Has like the spinning. I think it's like a spinning head idea. It's a little bit of like kind of a Lego Movie bad cop thing, where she has like the one side with the sunglasses and everything. Anyway, so she's neat. And kind of like I love how she's gossiping with Bo Peep. Is this the ragdoll you were talking about? It's like that whole thing. It's like she wants details, man.
Man, I've been there with He-Man, and I live to regret it.
Yep.
They're basically girlfriends, basically.
Exactly. It's wonderful. All right, so I guess that's all I really got on that one. I guess we should let's talk about Buzz. We brought up Buzz a little bit. Let's talk about Buzz.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I wish that Buzz had a little bit more to do, but I feel like Buzz got just enough to justify me fucking sobbing over the ending.
Here's the thing. I got some things that just made me, as a Toy Story fan, like giddy as a schoolgirl with Buzz Lightyear in this movie. There's one moment. Okay, so first off, I want to talk about the main story thing that Buzz has until we get to the ending. Inner voice. So inner voice runner. Of course, I love. Yeah.
No, I was just laughing.
I love the. Of course, Buzz taking it very literal. Again, we have a little bit of classic Buzz Lightyear, kind of the culture class of again, he's gone a long way from like the space case to Space Ranger to.
Tell me I wasn't this diluted.
I think this is something really telling for kind of the movie not going through to all the usual places of the basically showing it's a smaller scale Toy Story movie where we don't have like a whole. We have a runner with Buzz, but we don't necessarily have like another alternate version of Buzz. I think that was a smart call.
So this is actually the first one without a delusional Buzz.
Exactly. We don't just go back. Like I'm not saying they wouldn't have come up with something great. I'm just saying that maybe they didn't go back to the well for a reason. I think the reason was, like we're gonna show Buzz has grown, but by the same token, he's still he has a little bit of like some trouble with the culture clash here. It's like the whole delicious hot schmoes. They're called s'mores Buzz, like one of those gags.
And it's also it's also hard to top Spanish Buzz.
True, and again, that's the thing. Might kind of hit the ceiling. How do we top Spanish Buzz? He's trained in flamenco. I can't top that. Says Josh Cooley. It's like, what do you expect me to do? I can't. What am I going to do? Anyway, but yeah, the inner voice guy, of course, is playing with the buttons, which is a little bit of nostalgic fodder for me, just hearing all the Buzz Lightyear catchphrases on pushing the button. But more accurately, though, again, him just like not picking up on what he's saying about following your conscience.
Okay, Dragon, I want to know something. Are all the voice clips stuff that the actual Buzz Lightyear said?
Well, here's the thing. So in the past,
at least in the franchise, yes.
So here's the thing. So in the years that have gone by, they've added more phrases to Buzz Lightyear. Now, again, I mean, for the most part, as far as I can tell, bear in mind, I've seen it twice, and I can't quite freeze frame them, but from what I can recall and hearing them, I'm pretty sure it's I think they've combined, and now I have Buzz Lightyear who can say 65 things. So chances are those are probably the 65 sayings. And if I'm a betting man, they probably added a few new ones. I'm pretty sure they added some new sayings in there. I can't say without telling me. I'm pretty sure they added some, but again, 65 sayings is kind of hard to go through all the 65 sayings.
Okay.
Anyway, point being,
there's a
meteor shower. I'm pretty sure you had never heard meteor shower. So that's an example.
There's a mission in uncharted space.
That one, absolutely. I have an alarm clock that says that one. I'm pretty sure. Of course, from the original toy as well. But
speaking of stock phrases, this is actually the first time we hear Woody's "Yeehaw!" Since the first movie, technically.
Yeah, I mean, I like the join again. You're right. I haven't heard that since the first movie, since he kind of gets it caught on the railing when he's trying to avoid Scud. The whole "I'd like to join your posse, boys, but first I'm going to sing a little song." That's an obscure one. I love it. So, anyway, so Buzz Lightyear, of course, he's taking very literally, just kind of following the buttons as his directive of action, which kind of works, but also at the same time, we don't do the whole thing where, man, just very conveniently, it always does what he says. Of course, he runs into a problem, oh God, what's he going to do now? Where he kind of trusts himself, go with his actual inner voice. He kind of figures it out, and basically it all builds to him actually listening to his real inner voice when the moment counts at the very end. So that's kind of the inner voice in regards to Buzz, but also parallel to Woody with the inner voice and how the voice box correlates to everything there, or Woody, how he defines himself within the voice box and vice versa.
And not to mention the continuing acknowledgement of people jumping out of vehicles in this franchise.
Yep.
Yeah, that becomes a huge runner in the movie.
It's such a brave moment though when Woody jumps out of the moving van to save Forky though. That's really cool.
It's like, what would he do? Jump out of a moving vehicle? I mean, that's what he does.
Yeah, think about it. Okay, Toy Story 1, you get the truck. Toy Story 2, you get the plane. And in 3, well, again, they're in a garbage, they're in garbage trucks. I mean, yeah, split the difference.
Well, I mean, that's probably that's not. It really didn't happen in 3.
All right, fine. But,
I mean, I don't think. I mean, there's probably something close enough in there to justify it, though.
Anyway.
Well, technically, he did fly in a paper airplane and landed in a tree, which
okay, there you go.
Which is kind of close.
Yeah, close enough. Anyway, so of course one of the moment I was geeking out like a fangirl, like a Toy Story fan, just lose my mind here. And I saw like that one glimpse of intro, but seeing it in full fruition. So he jumps out, Buzz Lightyear jumps out the window, and following his inner voice, and we have this sequence where they play the music. They play essentially what is Buzz Lightyear's theme song. They play basically it's like the Planet Z segment from Toy Story 2. And basically, more accurately, when Buzz jumps out the window to save Woody in Toy Story in Toy Story 2, he's chasing Al's car, like that whole thing. Oh my god, I love it when we do that because to me in Toy Story, that's my fist pumping moment in Toy Story 2 when Buzz does, yeah, Buzz, go get him. And we did that, and it's like just calling it back, all this nostalgia flowing into it. Then we make it even better. I'm already there, like yes, he's just running through the place, exploring the carnival, and then Buzz Lightyear takes flight to look at the highway. I'm coming, Woody. Isn't it? Again, it's like Buzz probably not thinking it through, but who cares, man? It's awesome. Where he just jumps on these rides. It's so harrowing yet so awesome. And he's being flung by the ride, and Buzz Lightyear, his wings expand, and he's actually flying. He's falling with style more accurately, but it's amazing. He's taking flight.
And amazingly, nobody notices.
Oh yes, but oh god, it's just
I mean, it's like basically, who cares? Like you're seeing Buzz Lightyear fly for real, then
such an inspiring moment. I love it.
And then he immediately hits the twirly gig and falls in front of a porta potty.
Again, just the way that's all staged and everything. Of course, I don't know if you caught this. Axel is this guy's name, and Axel is voiced by Barry Block, otherwise known as Bill Hader.
Really? Oh God, that does make sense. Yeah, I can see it.
When he picks up, he's the only one in the movie. When he picks up Buzz, there, says,
"Yay, Buzz Lightyear! Get your original Buzz Lightyear."
Yep.
Oh my
so
God.
I love that we've put Buzz in a prize situation yet again, and that's look. The only nitpick I really have in the movies that we barely do anything. We do honestly, we do nothing with them. But I'm hoping that they show up. I know they show up in the flashback. I'm hoping they at least showed up in the Bonnie scene, but the aliens, we did nothing with the aliens in this movie.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't hurt the movie at all. It's just like, oh man, I want to see the aliens. I love Pizza Planet, man.
Well, I mean, they pretty much did all they could do. Is like, how many more times did they milk the claw?
You're right. That's the thing. It's not a structural.
I mean, in 3 it became a Deus Ex Machina, so you can't really go much further than that.
Literally saved their lives.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so basically again we're kind of they will claw machine, but again a more hopeless claw machine, the most hopeless claw machine that there ever was a carnival game.
Right.
And of course we meet Buzz meets his comedy foils this movie. So again, while Buzz does not have like an alternate version of himself, he does have some funny some other funny yet delusional characters to do battle wits with. Ducky and Bunny. Let's talk about them.
Good old Key and Peele.
Okay, I'm going to say something unpopular here. Like they are funny comic relief, and in terms of the comedy, they're good. But I feel like in terms of actual characters, they're not my favorites. Like I feel like people are overhyping them just a little bit. Based on
they're not again. I think Gabby's obviously the standout there, but I mean in terms of like they're fun.
No, but what I'm saying is that I don't know.
Basically they're hyping them because of who's voicing them.
Exactly, Jacob. Thank you. And to me, it's like Toy Story has never been a franchise about like, oh, hey, it's this comedian and we're gonna laugh at their jokes because it's this comedian. And honestly, this is definitely the closest that Toy Story has ever come to stunt casting. That bothers me just a little bit. It doesn't bother me enough to like dislike the characters at all. By all means, I like them a lot. They're very entertaining. They're very dynamic. I really like how quick-witted their banter is.
Heck, my personal funniest scene is one of my personal funniest scenes involves them.
Is it Plush Rush?
Yes.
Well, let me build to that for a second.
That's one of the things that got spoiled in that trailer that I didn't want you to see, by the way.
Yep, I'm glad. Yeah.
My favorite part of that though was the part that wasn't shown in the trailers.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, put a pin in it. Just I want to build something before we get there.
I'm not saying what it is just yet.
So, in regards to your point, Tiki, is that basically, again, I think they serve their role, and like it's not a deep role. It's not exactly like it's no Kaboom, which we'll get to. But I think they kind of bring in somewhat like a Hope and Crosby. I mean, the better comparisons, like how Abbott and Costello were introduced in in their movies originally, where the idea is like they couldn't be the stars. They were the big tent. They were the big draw, of course. But you have like a plot with like the romantic plot, and then you have like on the side. Here's the part you really care about, Abbott and Costello. Where again, I'm not saying to the kind of the effectiveness of Abbott and Costello, but to the effectiveness of they're the comedy relief, and that's pretty much what their lot is, that their role is, and Key and Peele are doing that quite well. Just as kind of like the kind of the comedy duo, have like a whole shtick and have a whole banjo that we kind of come across, and they kind of help out in some way, shape, or form, but not a lot of depth there.
Mm.
They do have kind of like a sad angle on again, it's kind of a sad angle on the. Kind of a sad angle on it's kind of a cross between the Prospector and the aliens from Pizza Planet, where again they're hoping they get picked up one day, but again, like the Prospector, there's kind of a sad angle. They've been there for 3 years waiting for they said 3 years. I mean, they've been on that waiting up top there for 3 years, waiting to go home with a kid, and they haven't. So again, that to me is like the most depth that we got from again. You hope these guys are going to get this fact that Buzz is going to stop them from getting the top prize thing, and of course now they have this illogical you cheated, spaceman, he said it's illogical. Oh, just Key and Peele. I know they're so darn funny, man. I don't have to tell you. They're really funny.
Well, I'll help you with my foot in space. Nobody can hear you scream.
So let's see. So of course we have the laid back Jordan Peele, and we have just the firecracker Keegan Michael Key.
One funny thing that people pointed out, the characters, the characters' sizes are kind of inverse of their actors. Where Jordan Peele, the shorter one, voices the bigger bunny.
Yeah. I noticed that.
I loved how they're joined at the hand, because that's something in the marketing they did. All the thing about it's like them just kind of walking around there. Of course, Ducky very famously is going around. Oh, you got the Buzz Lightyear impression. We're still they're going about all the variations on To Infinity Beyond, which in hindsight now,
right?
When you really think about it in hindsight, I mean, forget Spider-Man: Homecoming with spoilers.
Hey guys, you might want to take note of this one particular line.
To be fair, they didn't quite get it right. Anyway, but sorry, getting back to the point. But I love and all that they were. I didn't see the whole because carnival toys are joined at the hip sometimes. You have they're kind of the arms are interlocked or something. They have the little plastic tag thing. I love that in the design. That's really cool. All right, so let's look at the plans of all the various kind of operations that basically the very bad plans that Ducky and Bunny have. So these characters are borderline, again, if not delusional, then borderline insane. Very vocal about.
I mean, by the way, I just want to speak to this just in general. I love this movie. One of my favorite elements of the comedy is that this movie is not afraid to have the toys interacting with the humans much more than we've ever seen before in this franchise.
Yeah, we haven't really seen big interactions like that since the first Toy Story, if you want to be technical.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so play nice.
But we got the feeling from that one that was a very much a one-time God exception. You know what I mean?
It's like basically it's a life or death.
Right.
Precisely.
And Sid basically deserved all those years of therapy.
Yeah, well, again, he became a garbage.
It turned out fine though.
Yeah, he's a garbage man. He gave his just based he eventually gave his desserts to Lotso, so it all worked out.
No, he's a happy garbage man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, we have kind of a nod to kind of Kevin Nolting from Up in regards to the kind of the editing style on Ducky and Bunny's plans here, which is wonderful.
Yeah, for sure.
A little homage to Up in the editing.
And again, that trailer completely spoiled this whole gag.
But still, though.
I mean, it only spoiled the first part of the gag.
I know, but still,
the escalation of what the
escalation's still there, but
even then, I don't think putting it in the trailer ruined it too much. I mean, if anything, it was even funnier in context.
The one with the shopkeep at the antique store, the grandmother, she seems kind of nice. Throwing it out there.
She kind of reminds me of the arcade owner in Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, that's a great pull. Yeah.
Mr. Litwack.
A little Litwack. Maybe she's like a neighbor of Mr. Litwack or something.
Oh God.
Anyway, what if there's a really small short they just happen to be neighbors, nothing really more than that, just neighbors who just kind of went on different career paths and just oh yeah, it's you, maybe they bumped each other at the high school reunion or something.
Wouldn't it be crazy if we saw Bonnie, in that time that Bonnie and her mom are going around the town? Wouldn't it be crazy if we just saw they just popped into the fucking Wreck-It Ralph arcade?
That'd be crazy. Anyway, though, so we get with the extrapolation, not the extrapolation, with kind of the escalations. Of course, so Bucky and Donnie, they have these insane plans. Well, we can't do that. And of course, we get to the third one. The third one being
the third one. It's
they're trying to get a key, of course, and basically
where the plan involves basically waiting until it closes down. She drives home, basically goes through everything, and then when the lady goes to bed, you see them just rising above it, just staring down at her, and then as it's darkly lit.
Two things. My favorite detail is that there's so many jump scare. I wonder if maybe it's a little tongue-in-cheek nod to Jordan Peele's work in horror. I have to wonder if just all the opportunities, again, the misdirects for the scares here. She's going to the fridge and there's nothing behind it, and she's in the tub. Nothing there. And of course, ultimately they arise like Monsters Inc. practically. A monster scares a child. It's and oh god. And of course, not helping at all.
They're not just doing nothing. And at that point, they're not talking about jumping the old lady. They're talking about straight up murder.
Well, I mean, hopefully not, but yeah, pretty much.
Well, I mean, did you see the looks on their faces? We're totally gonna get this.
Well, but we know they have a bone to pick with Axel, but we'll get to there a little later. We'll get the bone they have to pick with Axel.
My favorite gag in this whole escalation of events isn't actually any of the hypothetical plans. It's the way that they actually get the key.
It was very hard.
That's great. Look at
the payoff.
That Buzz is in on the lie too. Just
right.
Very hard.
Yeah, so it was very difficult.
All right, so let's talk about the real breakout star of this movie.
Oh yeah,
he definitely made a crash.
I would say he's easily the best new character introduced in the franchise since 2.
Wonderful Duke Kaboom. Oh my goodness, Duke Kaboom. Well, I mean, Ken was also really fun though.
Ken was
great. Ken was great, but I don't know. I think Duke is maybe a step above Ken.
I'll give you that Ken is probably a step above Ken, but still, I mean, in terms of the last time we've had a great character. Since Ken, we'll say.
Who's the Canuck with all the luck?
Duke Kaboom. So of course,
I fucking hope that Duke Kaboom becomes an unofficial ambassador of Canada.
I have a theory as to why they made him Canadian.
Why?
Okay, so it's two things. The simple one that's Pixar Canada. But I mean, the more important theory though. Here's the real kind of. It could possibly be true is that so obviously Duke Kaboom is modeled after Evel Knievel. The Evel Knievel toys, which are very popular, very famous, where the idea is you reel them up, you spin you gear the thing up so basically you can launch it from a ramp and you can make a jump like the real Evel Knievel. Now here's the thing. I remember, I don't know if I told you about this. I saw this Evel Knievel documentary. It's called Being Evil. I don't know if it's on Amazon currently. It's a really good documentary. I know it's on Hulu, so I'd recommend it. It's good. Being Evel Knievel in that documentary revealed that Evel Knievel, he could be a real jerk sometimes. That's it. He was not a pleasant. He could be really mean to the press. He'd just be a real cranky guy, Evel Knievel. But and that's what I'm saying. I think it's the more pleasant Canadian version of Evel Knievel.
Oh, I see what you're going with there. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I would love to think that's why. Because again, this is very famous. Here's why I say, because they do their research with the toys, and when Evel Knievel's making basically one of the most infamous things Evel Knievel did, and is showing you how infamous he could be at times, is that a guy did a tell-all book about him that he okayed the book. He did recordings. The guy did not make a thing up. He left some really horrible stuff out of the book. He was a nice guy, and he basically, because he like sees Evel Knievel walking down the street one day, he says, "Oh, hey, Evel, how's it going?" And basically, Evel Knievel had a muscle essentially come up from behind him, hold the guy's arms back, and basically he broke the guy's arms with a baseball bat.
Jesus Christ!
And that's the thing.
God.
And because of this, and this is where I'm getting. And here's the
straight up mobster.
And here's the thing. Okay?
Wow.
And here's the thing. So because of that, and the infamy of that, and he did do a little bit of basic
dark shit, man. I never heard that.
Seriously, look into the documentary, man. It's great stuff. Anyway, the point being, the big toy connect. The reason I really think this would hold water is that because of that event, and because just like the infamy of Evel Knievel after that, around that time, they pulled his toy. That's why his toy became such a rare commodity, because they stopped selling the toy because his name was poisoned. It was a bad influence at that time. Evel Knievel toys. I'd like to think, because at the very least because of that they would be on their mind with like the toy sale factor of it all. So they would make the Canadians a friendlier Evel Knievel. Oh yeah, of course, the friendly Evel Knievel, voiced by the wonderful. The guy, again, we're in the middle of the Keanu-sance, folks. I don't know how else to put it.
I mean, it's like, basically, I feel like all of American Western culture right now is just obsessed with Keanu Reeves.
And again, I think I just keep finding so refreshing is that, again, I didn't know this until getting into the third John Wick movies. I heard like interviews and stuff that Keanu Reeves is a really nice, like he's actually a really true blue Hollywood like nice guy. Or he donates because of his sister has his sister I believe had, if not lymphoma, then a form of cancer. He donates most of his salary to the Cancer Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
He only takes what he needs to live on, but I mean, the large majority of what he gets. I mean, he's a really swell guy. He doesn't like he respects. Yeah, he's a really nice, respectable guy. He's really fun and self-aggrandant. He's very much like he's not like a super silliest actor. He's not a. I think the Always Be My Maybe role would probably best illustrate this, but I don't know. It's kind of a similar thing they do here at Toy Story 4 with the Always Be My Maybe. It's kind of Keanu Reeves poking fun at himself here. But no, seriously, I mean, the Duke Kaboom, he's just this pleasant character. He's uber posable. I love he's striking a pose because he is super posable. I think that's genius. And he has a trauma, Tiki. What is his trauma?
Dijon.
It's not mustard, Tiki. Brijon.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Rijon.
Of
course, it's not. Of course, it's commercial. It's not real life.
Oh God! First of all, a couple things with this. First of all, I feel like the timing of it is very similar to one of my favorite Pixar gags ever, which is the Anton Ego flashback.
I think you're right. Yeah, I did get. There's a little bit of a Ratatouille vibe.
Especially the second time we flash back when he's making the big jump and he's like, "I'm sorry, Dijon. Oh my God, I can't do this."
Again, not a mustard.
I'm sorry.
No, but no.
You know what? I'm literally thinking of the character from the DuckTales movie.
No, but it's a fun fact. I mean, are French Canadian, so maybe a little bit of a Ratatouille pull. Because the kid ain't
Sure. Also, another thing to note is I love the whole one of the other things that we haven't really seen explored in Toy Story yet is, of course, the commercials always make the toys look way more badass than they actually are.
Akin to the Buzz Lightyear commercial, not a flying toy. Very
right. Yeah, I mean, Buzz Lightyear, we do lightly explore that, sure, but I mean, still, with Buzz Lightyear.
No, but you're right. We haven't done a toy commercial.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with Buzz Lightyear, like Andy still fucking loved Buzz Lightyear. You know what I mean? Like Duke Kaboom is like basically, what if Andy just instantly wrote Buzz Lightyear off because he couldn't actually fly? You know what I mean? That's too dark.
I love the timing on the animation too, and I love the fact that it's alive. Here, I don't know. Either they just did it so beautifully well, because I know again during the Toy Story of Terror, the DVD version, it has the manufactured Pixar commercials, like 3 commercials. One's 2D animated, one's 2D animated, one's in live action, and one is kind of it's kind of Japanese live action. We have them in performing in suits. Point being, they've done commercial work, and they've even done commercial work with Wall-E, if you want to be technical. Point being, Pixar's done live action commercial work, and they've made gags about it with Toy Story. And it makes me wonder, because again, like I'm pretty sure it's a computer animated kid in the commercial, but when the toy is moving, the toy just kind of fails basically when the toy is flying through the thing. It's always flying through the death-defying stunt. I'm pretty sure it's live action. It looks that convincing. It's either that well animated or it's live action. I don't know how else to put it.
It's Nicole DeBlois, maybe or maybe not performing as Katie Marie Garland.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, of course, the timing on like when we see it, actually realize we're just the timing of like he rounds up the toy. Honestly, I think it's the fact he just didn't wind it up enough. That's what I really think it is. If you really look at Duke Kaboom's tracker again, he does crash, but by the same token, I mean, he makes I
love how that speaks to the like the great nature of these movies, where like something that's like such a trivial thing to a kid is like a huge existential crisis for these characters.
I love that. I'm sorry, you're right. It's just so funny. But I love also Duke is kind of, again, without being on the nose, without going to territory been at so many times, a bit of a rival for Woody, because he kind of shows him up with the fact that he knows.
I was worried that Duke would be a clone of Ken, and he's totally not.
Exactly. We just have the bit where like he knows he knows the sheep's name, like Billy Goat Gruff. Those girls are my life.
It's like that toy sounds like a real idiot.
Exactly what I'm saying. But again, it's like, yeah, he's real not. But again, he's Canadian, so he's really nice about it, though. It's like there's no malice at all. Again, pretty much. That's pretty much.
Like, oh, you're that toy.
Again, pretty much how kind of Keanu Reeves is and Always Be My Maybe too. By the way, just kind of being the pleasant, again, kind of romantic rival, but not really the romantic rival. Just being really a nice guy. Anyway, so of course you're right. Though we also get. Tell me did you guys get a Misfit Toys? I mean, we obviously there's a bit of a defective toy angle with him, but I got a lot of Misfit Toy vibe, and with some of the Lost Toys, but especially him of all characters. Like he has a purpose
of the Misfit Toys.
Yes, exactly.
I could see it. It didn't really cross my mind before you brought it up, but yeah, I could see it.
I mean, the Lost Toys in general, there's kind of a defective nature about them, but specifically Duke Kaboom, and that he has a purpose that he cannot fulfill, and he just cannot fix that within himself. But again, it's about like, can he use that to his advantage, or he can conquer in some way, shape, or form? Of course, much like Buzz Lightyear, it kind of raises a question in the grand history of Toy Story about, can these Buzz Lightyear defective in one way or another with the whole, like, again, kind of the diluted defect, if you will. Mm-hmm. You have the even thinking he's a real Buzz Lightyear, and in this case with Duke Kaboom thinking that he basically again like in trying to make the landing, he's like, I can do it with my eyes closed. Again, reference to I can fly around this room, my eyes closed, that sort of thing. You have something to prove when you're that deluded.
Go ahead.
He's kind of more self-conscious than Buzz Lightyear originally was, though.
Yes, of course, he's full aware that he is a toy, just a toy who kind of failed at the purpose of it. But I do like those. He also is kind of a warning to Woody. He represents Woody not moving on from the kill. Like if Andy was not able to move on from Andy or just his mission by the end of the movie, he could end up like Duke Kaboom. Like the minute you mention the kid or the purpose, like he crumbles like a sack of wet newspaper. Also, I don't know if you guys really want to get into a few of the Easter eggs. Of course, in meeting Duke Kaboom, we have the bouncer for kind of the pinball section of the antique shop.
Tin Toy. Tinny.
Yep.
Tin Toy was great. I mean, really quickly running through the Easter eggs, Dragon, you and I have kind of gone down the checklist of like every every one of the Toy Story shorts gets referenced. We have the fast food place from Small Fry. We have the Combat Carls from Toy Story of Terror. We have the lunchbox with the dinosaur creature from Toy Story That Time Forgot.
Reptilis Maximus.
Am I missing anything?
Okay, let's see. Toaster of Terror, Toaster of Time Forgot. Mentioned that.
Where was the Luxo ball?
It's a good question. Bear in mind, it's probably we know we saw Andy's room for a spell. Chances are it was probably there, but again, if it's in the literal sense, but it could always been worked in some other way. I didn't quite catch the Luxo ball.
Can I just say with the Combat Carls, the first time I saw them, I absolutely lost it. Like that was probably one of the biggest laughs. And I'm just like, I'm sure the guy sitting next to me was wondering, like, why the hell is this kid reacting so much to the Combat Carls? But it was literally because I'm familiar with Combat Carl from Toy Story of Terror.
And not to mention the one that Sid blew up.
Well, yeah,
Yep.
sure.
I love the. Oh, by the way, fun fact, since you brought that up,
Carl.
Tiki, remember that? Remember, I was going to struggle to remember that one thing that blew my mind. I ended up telling you the thing about the the Back to the Future ride.
Yeah.
I actually misspoke because I was trying to say if it was from that podcast or if it was from it was from Toys in relation to Toy Story 4. It was actually in relation to Toy Story 4 and related to that Combat Carl thing Jacob just brought up. Here's the thing. It blew my mind. Okay, for any folks who don't know this, because Tom Hanks revealed this during an interview, he created Combat Carl.
Really?
They basically told him they didn't have the rights to G.I. Joe, so they were kind of like trying to come up with an
improv.
That line, like, oh, it's a Combat Carl. That was him.
Oh wow. Oh, that's great.
Tom Hanks created Combat Carl. Little did he know, years later they would. And it's a little something we'd never brought up. But if you really think about Combat Carl, Weathers.
yes.
Anyway, just a little
That's
fun,
amazing.
But yeah, I love with the Combat Cars. I love the variants of the Combat Cars. Like they have all the ridiculous variants, like the ice, the ice variant. And I think I love it. And of course, like Woody leaves him hanging for the high five, and that's going to come back. We'll get there. But yeah, we have like a lot of really great references throughout the movie too. Because of course, Tin Toy, of course, is supposed to be kind of the fill-in for Buzz Lightyear way back in the day. Again, he's giving Woody the business, maybe as a very deep cut homage to that, perhaps. Pizza Planet tattoo on Axel's. When Axel picks up Buzz Lightyear, you can really see it because when he steps out, you see it from behind. He has the Pizza Planet truck tattooed on his ankle.
Yeah.
In the antique shop, there's all sorts of signs. You have the A113 sign, as well as probably Andy's mom's car during the montage. I'd imagine. Trying to think. So we reference all the shorts. Trying to think of the. So Poultry Palace, on the Carl's, it's Toy Story Terror. Reptilis Maximus. It's 3 that leaves Partysaurus. We have Partysaurus Rex, which I mean we have Bonnie with the grate that she holds all the toys, and so technically Partysaurus Rex reference.
We need to mention the up stuff.
Yes, the grape soda badge.
Yes.
Oh, yes. I was like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's the Ellie badge.
And guys, I'm sorry, I don't buy into the Pixar theory as much as I used to, but I do buy into the theory that Carl and Ellie are somehow related to Andy's family.
I mean, I never bought into the Pixar theory, but that is one thing that I am interested in. Like,
I mean, in Toy Story 3, you literally see a letter from Carl and Ellie addressed to Andy, like a postcard, I think.
Yeah, I remember that, and it's just, I mean, if not necessarily related,
Look, the only relation I could.
They're at least like friends of the family at the
family friends. Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead, Dragon.
Well, I'm saying if they were looking for a familiar relationship, the only thing I could imagine would be Andy's mom's brother. Wait, no, it's
I was thinking like Andy's mom's great aunt with
that's because obviously in a very haunting part of Up, of course, we realize that Carl and Ellie never had children, obviously. So there's definitely that's where the Pixar theory really breaks down if you're looking for a familiar relationship.
But I do like that specifically Bo Peep as the grape soda badge comes up, she says something to the extent of like, "You wouldn't believe the things I've seen."
And of course, this pops up says, "Nah, get rid of that." It tosses it aside too, if you really think of that. Okay, here's a real deep cut thing, real quick. They're actually, with again, this is kind of Tom Hanks and good company here. When Woody was in the closet, they had all the comedy greats in the room playing really hilarious puns of their names. You had Carol Burnett, it's like Cheryl Burnett. She's Cher.
Maleficent Brooks.
Yep, Mel Brooks, and you have like a Carl Rhinoceros, Carl Reiner, and Betty White is like Bitey White. It's hilarious. Anyway, okay, I mean that's all real. I think those are all like the some of the big eye catching ones. Unless you guys have anything else like more.
No, I think we're good.
Okay, let's talk about. So let's again. A big thing. I'm going to use this for a transition point here. So much as I love Toy Story 4, and this is not a problem, but something to notice that again it makes it kind of fits in the whole movie as an epilogue piece versus kind of like a big like dramatic 1, 2, or 3 of it all. Mm-hmm. It's not. This is not an ensemble piece. We downplay the ensemble in this movie. Like, this is again. Then this is what I'm talking about in my thesis here. Where again they knew from the get go. They kind of teased that it's not necessarily a Toy Story movie, but it's more like focused on a character, which of course can be Woody and Bo Peep kind of reconnecting as the main story, implying that our ensemble are not going to have an active role within this movie. They're going to be in the movie. They're going to do stuff, of course. Everybody gets like a little moment, of course, but it's like the fact that they're not going to be really part of the adventure. So we have our RV gang here with the rest of the guys.
Yeah, there really wasn't.
I'm just gonna get to my favorite bit, which is, oh my god! I as a huge fan of Kristen Schaal, the GPS stuff. I just crack up just thinking about that shit. Right? No, turn right.
That is funny. God.
It's so great. I love her delivery. I freaking love Kristen Schaal.
Let's be honest, though, I think Jeff Garlin kind of stole the movie, though. With the
he did, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like, Dad's going to jail.
If I ever need yet another reason to rewatch The Goldbergs, just that moment.
What I forget his name was. Snowball, was it? I can't believe I'm forgetting his name.
What do you mean, Butters?
Yeah, Buttercup. Yeah, Buttercup. Like he was too. He seemed way too eager to send her dad to jail. Like what did he do to you, Buttercup?
I think the answer is what we got with Woody, where he's probably stepping on the toys all the time.
Probably.
like he's going. It's like we're not sending him to jail.
Okay, this is gonna blow your guys' mind. Do you know that there's actually a Toy Story 4 GPS setting that you can put in for various cars?
Are you serious?
Really? I am dead serious.
Oh my god!
It's Woody and Buzz. Like my dream GPS would be Kristen Schaal literally yelling at you, like, "Take a right! Take a right!"
I want that GPS so much, and that explains all the new car commercials they're doing with Toy Story now.
I love the Buzz and Woody one.
Yeah. Like for example, if you like, I believe one of the things is like if there's traffic involving police, then Woody will say something like, "Uh-oh, looks like I'm not the only sheriff in town."
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Oh my god.
Hopefully those other sheriffs aren't after you.
I would love it if one of the phrases like used in Toy Story 2 lines with diluted Buzz, or it's like, the shadows and to the left,
But again, I feel like it's a little bit of a missed opportunity to not have Kristen Schaal yell at you to make your turns.
I think again, that would maybe after the movie, maybe they'll be a little more diverse with it. I don't know.
Turn left. Anyways,
so let's see. So of course, in the whole turn left of it all, with the whole hijacking of the vehicle, essentially, I love that it's kind of akin to two things. It kind of akin to obviously Toy Story 2 with the toys driving the Pizza Planet truck, but also a little bit of Finding Dory as well, in terms of like it's this great set piece where it's like, how the heck are we going to get from point A to point B with our characters in this vehicle?
There's basically a recurring gag in Pixar movies where like these characters that really shouldn't be driving cars end up driving cars.
Exactly. And it's just like, how the heck are we going to get to the carousel of all places when Dad wants to go? Well, we get Dad and we get Dad thrown in jail. No. We can
I feel
basically
like
take.
it's a lot better than Finding Dory does because there's like an internal logic to these movies that's been built up over 4 films. Whereas with Finding Dory, it's like suddenly we're doing that. Like, and I'm not saying that like I have less problems with Finding Dory than I do with Incredibles 2, but with Finding Dory, it's like suddenly we're in this scenario. We're kind of just like thrown into like this is like way more over the top than anything we've seen in the 2 movies so far. Whereas I feel like with Toy Story 4, that it's like a great kind of like gradual escalation to seeing the toys interact more and more with the human world.
You have a point, but I'd still argue. I think you're just finding stuff to put down in Finding Dory because again, I love that bit in that movie. Though it's like,
You're one of the few, man. I mean,
Not really. Not really. It's
I know more people that have problems with that bit than people that like that bit, but I don't want to get
anyway. Getting off
into the argument.
the point being, we paid off from Toy Story 2. Fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I mean, Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2 had them interacting with a plane.
Yes.
And then somehow driving a baggage cart home.
Yeah, they did do that. Yes. So of course, they utilizing the whole rental. They really utilized the rental RV of it all in the third act. They really did.
They're like, I don't know what's happening. It's a rental.
Of course, mentioning the rental RV, that brings us to the awning, and that brings us to goodbyes.
Oh God. All right, there's just one way to describe how I'm feeling about the scene. So, of course, the waterworks start happening when Buzz says she'll be fine.
Bonnie will be okay.
Bonnie will be okay. And I'm just sitting there in the theater, goddamn, like I'm like this close to just yelling out to the crowd, like, but what about you, Buzz? Are you okay?
Oh God! So
It's like I think a lot of people's mouths dropped when Buzz said, "Bonnie will be okay."
here's when it dawned on me. Okay, here's where it dawned on me, like where the movie's going here. And I loved every second of it. Where they mirrored the hand bit in the staging, where Woody's saying goodbye to Bo Peep, and again he has like we mirror the hands where he lets go, and he kind of stops and he's like, "Oh God, I know." Yes. And I love the Buzz, almost like, forgive me for making an endgame parallel here, but again, movie of fours are in this year. I don't have to tell you, folks. 4 is the number this year.
Right.
Of course, it's very much kind of like a Cap and Bucky moment where Bucky knows in this case. And of course, Dig, after that thing you sent me, I think it would definitely fit into this comparison. Anyway, Buzz knows what's best for Woody here. Buzz already he's already put it together. And again, Buzz has listened to his inner voice here, kind of picking up on like, yeah, he knows he doesn't need to defer to anything here. He can just see it on Woody's face here that she's gonna be okay, Woody. Bonnie's gonna be okay. And again, this is
your best friend, Buzz. You're losing your best friend.
What I think is so beautiful about this is Woody's reward for all the loyalty in the franchise. Most loyal character, most loyal toy in the whole franchise is Woody. His reward, yes.
It's Woody's. Basically, he's earned his happiness. He's earned his happy ending.
Exactly. He has a life for himself. And with Bo and helping toys, still keeping true to a core. Like Woody, like he's saved Wheezies. He's always going out to help other toys. He's still kind of doing something that is a semblance of what he does. And I mean, we have all these little bits in the goodbyes. Doesn't have necessarily. He only has he kind of is like a group hug and a goodbye with everybody. Kind of pats Slinky on the head, like Bullseye's looking at him. But I think
we get a big tearjerker moment with one of the toys,
which is what I was about to get to. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Then of course the big standout, the badge.
Yeah. Oh God, that broke me. It basically. The way I would kind of counter this with I totally compare this scene to the Rainbow Connection scene in Muppets 2011. So basically, as soon as the scene starts, as soon as we get the I'm crying, fucking tears, crying right away. And then it's when Miss Piggy comes on for the second verse, that's basically when Buzz is like, Bonnie will be okay. And I'm like, oh God, this is happening. And then basically the badge moment. The badge moment is the moment where all the Muppets join hands and like come on stage. I'm like, oh God, oh God, oh my, oh I.
But again, just the passing.
I was a fucking mess both times I saw this. I was a mess.
The passing, it's oh god, the badges signify so many things. Think about the history this badge has, man. Think about it. Local law enforcement. Tim Allen spoke to this beautifully. I never heard him say this before until I was basically after the movie. I then dived into all the marketing stuff I wanted to watch the whole time. Right. And Tim Allen had this wonderful observation they point out, just in how he gets into the Buzz character and basically how he defines Buzz and Woody's relationship, their friendship, is that it all hinges on the first moment in Toy Story where local law enforcement. Glad you got here because again, he respects Woody because of the law enforcement. That was like even Buzz in his most deluded state. He took an instant liking to Woody. That's how he plays the character. It always stemmed like that's at the core of the dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And
sure.
I love that badge has such a significant role in everything in Woody. Sheriff Woodruff. Otherwise, he's a cowboy, but Sheriff Woody, and he's passing on to the other member of his Roundup gang. He's passing down.
Which actually Bonnie did earlier in the movie.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing. So she's in something that was just kind of like something that seemed to be kind of like a put down on Woody. One could say, it's like his role's being taken away from him here, but no, it's that badge is being passed down to Jesse. Again, it's kind of accepting kind of the thing that was under his nose the whole time with Bonnie, and it's also again like him kind of another element of him becoming a lost toy. He's lost pieces of himself. He's lost the voice box. He's lost a badge. He's nowhere near the collectible he was in 2. He's kind of going again. He's taken on the symbolism of a lost toy, and then of course makes his goodbyes. Of course, the most heartbreaking goodbye of all, the hug with Buzz Lightyear.
Oh God!
And this is the last time they're ever going to see each other.
You would hope so. I will say if they do make a Toy Story 5. I want to see it from Buzz's point of view. I want to see the rest of the side characters get more fleshed out. What I absolutely do not fucking want at all is more of Woody's story. There is no way that they can do a Toy Story 5 and have Woody just conveniently meet up with the gang again.
Right.
And of course, the true moment in history, it's like he's not lost. Not anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the moment in history.
Right.
It's like, and then to infinity and beyond.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Real quick, let me write just the build to that smidge here. I love that again, it's like the last time they're going to see each other, but it's like the only way to top the goodbye in Toy Story 3 is with that hug,
Mm-hmm.
Like the only way you're going to top like the handshake bit from Toy Story 3, where again like the Buzz and Woody handshake, it's going to be just that hug of like we're not going to see each other again. Such an emotional ending, and yes, with the lines there, just again, lost toy to me signifies, and that's the way I brought up to Tiki earlier. Tiki's kind of brought up again, is that it's such a beautiful full circle arc with Toy Story. Woody, the element of each movie is that Woody gets lost, he gets separated, and he's the whole I'm lost, I'm a lost toy. The thing that bonded him and Buzz together in the first place is so beautifully. Basically, we have the ending of a Western when Woody and Bo Peep are hopping off and having like the triumphant Western notes being
fireworks in the background, and that very much reminds me of the ending of Coco.
Yeah. But again, it feels like the Shane or something, the ending of a classic Western where like they're going off in their separate ways, riding off in the sunset. Woody again having this grand view here, and from a distance they both have these two befitting final lines where initially it's like the whole like Rex posing the final line is like again it's almost like the kids saying but wait to quote Hey Arnold, the whole like wait come back. The Shane ending, essentially, where Rex is posing the question, so is Woody lost? Is he a lost toy? And Buzz says,
no,
he's not lost anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so profound. I love that Buzz had the last really profound line of the movie right there. Is he's not lost anymore. And he would know, because, again, he was lost with him, and I think it's beautiful. And then we have then we have To Infinity. And again, this is the moment that Tom Hanks and Tim Allen hyped up in the marketing of To Infinity. Beyond the fact that I remember this in the rewatch, that in each Toy Story movie, they both in some maybe an alteration of the line, but Woody in each movie says "To Infinity and Beyond." Of course, the big "To Infinity and Beyond" in the first movie. Yeah, it has the really great kind of grown up, like almost like a parenthood moment with Buzz, where he says, it's just like, I'll have Buzz Lightyear keep me company to infinity and beyond. Of course, in the third one we have, well, where have I been? Beyond infinity, my friend. Like those are the last, those are like the three To Infinities and Beyond. We have like the most impactful one saved for last. Or it's just the fact that what really touches me about it is the fact that it's a friendship. They could have said, look, of course, he ended on To Infinity and Beyond. It's just it's so befitting and so perfect. But I mean, reading into the definition of To Infinity and Beyond at its core is the fact that it's a friendship that goes beyond infinity, and it's the fact that this friendship, no matter the ever growing, a friendship that can be everlasting from a distance, light years of infinity beyond the two of them. What started it all, just like going beyond. And it's also going beyond your purpose and Buzz starting that journey of Woody becoming a lost toy in the first place, and him returning the favor at the end, telling him, hey, it's okay to be lost. Again, like him separating himself from Woody, where Woody separated himself from Buzz, which kind of kicked off the whole journey. It's just this wonderful circular. It's this wonderful circular thing, which is the perfect, like they'll still be in each other's thoughts, and the fact that in that moment they both said the line that would just they're both thinking the same thing in that moment, just to show you how true blue their friendship was, and just how like ending on the perfect notes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. A friendship that's been defined over 20 years.
Exactly. So that brings us to some post-credit stuff, real quick.
All right, I'm going to give you guys a hot take here.
Okay.
I don't think we should have seen any of Bo Peep and Woody in the post-credit stuff.
Really?
Yeah,
I think their story was done.
I think it's the Toy Story 3 had an epilogue.
Like, this movie is already the epilogue, and that the post-credit stuff is kind of like the epilogue to the epilogue. I don't really think it's necessary.
You're not in. Yeah, go on.
I think it kind of was necessary.
Yeah, well, that's
okay. Here's the thing, Tiki. I don't think you're necessarily.
No, I'm just saying that's go ahead.
I don't think you're necessarily wrong, but I would make the point that again, it's kind of like just to show you that.
There's like Bo Peep and Woody right off into the sunset. Like as far as I'm concerned, that's the end of their story.
May be the case, but by the same token, I think that's maybe for the kids in the audience, and again, kind of the same reason we had the Sunnyside thing. We have to show, okay, the Sunnyside is no longer a prison, which is what necessitated that episode. And here in this epilogue, just show like what they're doing. They're free in toys and everything. Where again, is it fully necessary? No, but is it fun stuff? Absolutely. Right. Like they're the Ducky and Bunny. They're kind of helping match toys to kids.
I mean, that's I feel like we could have done the same stuff, but just with maybe Ducky and Bunny and Duke Kaboom. Like, I don't necessarily feel like Bo Peep and Woody had to be in there. I mean, it's like it's a nitpick, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. But I don't know. I just feel like the ending, that last note, that To Infinity and Beyond thing was such a perfect note to go out on. That I don't want to say it deflates it at all, but like seeing Woody in a comedic scenario right after a moment that powerful, it's a little bit of a tonal shift. I'll say that much. It's a little bit of a tonal shift.
Well, again, I guess agree to disagree. It's fine. All right. So of course, we have the Keanu Whoa. So basically, we have Ducky and Bunny. So apparently, Ducky and Bunny again, because they were kept 3 years because of this guy who's basically a rigged game. So they hate it. They hate Axel, and now they've gotten rid of all. They've liberated all their toy brethren. They want to get sweet, bountiful revenge on Axel, played by Bill Hader. So they basically they suddenly
his proverbial pie and make him eat it.
In a manner of speaking, Tiki, yes.
Hey, Ike, you shitbird, you want some pie?
Want a little pie?
Anyway.
Okay, in all seriousness, though, so again, they do the plush rush and they attack him, but then it doesn't end there. Again, kind of like the old.
Like, oh man,
this is just wonderfully insane. You gotta admit, this is wonderfully insane.
Easily the best stuff with Ducky and Bunny, I think, is the stuff right here. Yeah,
it kind of takes the fun kind of clever kind of thing we had earlier on. Now we just make it just off the rails insane. Where now it's like chasing him in broad daylight. And of course, then they grow and they're shooting lasers at. Bunny is shooting lasers out of his eye, and I think Ducky's breathing fire. I can't remember that part. I think he did.
Yeah,
They become
they're pretty much turning into kaijus at that point.
Yes, and they become giant and just even more monstrous and kaiju-like, and it's like, oh god, it's just crazy. And then we have
and then they cut to them making the noise and hitting the noises, and then Kaboo's like, "Can you really shoot lasers out of your eyes?"
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right.
Again, that's a way. That's how you get a. If all of that brings you to a Keanu, well, you've earned your Keanu. It's not just like an arbitrary. Like I'm sure I would love to think that Keanu Reeves, like guys, that'll be all polite and stuff because he's Keanu Reeves, would be like, guys, I don't feel like saying, whoa, it's just kind of. Okay, Keanu, fair point, but I'd like you to read what leads to it, though. He looks up at Josh Cooley and he says, "Well, what do you think?" Whoa. Exactly. Whoa. That's the take we're going to use.
They just secretly recorded him.
Okay. So then we have so again the flip side. This I think we kind of did need though as a post credits. It's probably the most necessary of the post credits stuff. Okay, boys, this is hysterical. This Knifey. We got to talk Knifey.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was saying. I feel like more of the post credit stuff should have been adjusting to life outside of Woody.
The idea is a year passes, by the way.
It's like first grade. And she made another friend.
No. She literally made a friend.
Oh, God. Gone with the wind of utensils.
Yes.
The Knifey, again, is this beautiful, it's almost like a Bride of Frankenstein moment here where Knifey meets Forky, and Forky says, I know, he says, trash, no, I'll tell you, your toy, I'll tell you, I have all the answers you need. Says,
how am I alive?
I don't know.
No.
big question, the meaning of life question for the whole franchise.
Well,
again, if this is the final stab at the final cinematic stab at Toy Story, that's a perfect note to end on when you really think about it.
I don't know.
Why am I alive? I don't know. And then he just stares at the camera.
And again, I remember when we were speculating about all the Forky implications. You know what? Again, we addressed it enough, and we ended on a great gag like that. So I'm perfectly content with it.
It's I feel like most of us kind of wanted the movie to go really deep into the whole why am I alive? Why do toys have sentience? But honestly, the movie was a little bit more personal than that.
It was.
Frankly, I feel like we're gonna get the meaning of life Pixar movie with Soul.
Pretty much. So yeah. Oh, what if Soul's a secret Toy Story prequel? Imagine that.
God. Holy shit.
Tom Hanks is Bill, but nobody knows who's gonna play.
Has any cast been announced for that movie yet?
No, not yet.
Not yet, no.
Of course.
I can just safely say that Soul is easily my most anticipated movie of 2020. Not even a question.
All right, so then we have. I noticed, of course, you have Don Rickles and Adam Burke, having a little tribute there, and I love the. Here's the thing that touched me about their tribute, by the way. I love that we have lines and really beautiful, fitting lines here, like Don Rickles. For everything you've done as Mr. Day, we are eternally grateful. That really touched me.
Aww.
Unfortunately,
to Infinity and Beyond.
Unfortunately, I didn't get I only seen this movie once, and I didn't get to see the credits because my bus was about to leave, and I had to leave before the credits were over.
And we have the post-credit scene, the very end.
So this will be my first time hearing about this. So tell me about it.
All right, so at the very end, they kind of pull. I haven't seen this done since Wall-E, honestly. Where Wall-E replaced the letter, and we have Duke Kaboom comes in. And he replaces the Pixar. He replaces the Luxo lamp, and he basically does a wheelie, and he basically is hopping with the bike on top of the eye, din, 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 din. And then he's yes, he's saying something. The point is he's reveling in it. And then off to the side, the winter version, the Arctic version of Combat Carl, who was denied his high five, from it was denied his high five from Woody. Again, I love them because everyone in the at least all my guys in the theater, my road guys who were seeing this, like we were losing our minds. They were just like Woody left him hanging. He looks all depressed before he leaves. It's like, oh god. So he Duke raises his hand for a high five, and he runs over there, has a high five, and that's the end of the movie.
That's it.
Combat Carl got his high five.
Oh.
All right.
And thus concludes Toy Story 4.
Yeah.
There were parents waiting waiting for the credits to come, and when I was watching, and as soon as that happened, the mom turned to the kids and it's like, "You see, that's why we had to stay." Now we can go.
That's awesome.
All right. Okay, before we get into final thoughts, guys, do you want to talk about a little bit about the future of Pixar?
Well, do you mean specifically Toy Story? Or do you mean just future Pixar?
It's just generally, I mean, like we can just like what's on Pixar's slate, because I know next year we've got a big year with Onward and then fucking Soul, which it's like, look, Onward looks really good. I'm excited for Onward and some of the themes of Onward, like, you know, the whole like bringing the dead father back for a day, like that basically sounds like a better AI, and I'm down. I'm all for it. But
well, here's what we know.
But Soul, man, Soul just sounds like such a game changer.
I'm a soul man.
That'll be a great teaser if they use that. But well, maybe or maybe not. I don't know.
But what else? What's on the horizon like after?
Technically,
here's what we know.
I mean, they only have like 5 films slated, but only Onward and Soul their titles are known.
Okay.
Well,
but what isn't known is that they're supposedly all original movies.
We have stuff this year.
Wait,
so,
do we? What stuff?
Well, that's what I'm trying to get to here. So, Disney Plus, we're gonna have some additional. We're gonna have we're gonna have a series of 4K shorts.
Oh, okay, nice.
They're gonna like that drop. They're at least gonna have. I heard there's gonna be more. Of course, we have the 4K shorts. We're gonna have the other half of the Spark shorts are gonna be there. We have there's gonna be a Bo Peep. They're gonna have a Bo Peep short that's going to fill in the blanks of what happens to her when she's basically fills in the blank of the Toy Story 4, like the 7 years, like I guess more likely the 9 years, and basically it's going to fill the blanks from when she's when she's given away. Let's see, so that's Disney Plus, that's this year, and of course, like basically it's going to be in process. So I don't know how. I think Bo Peep and at least one of the 4K shorts and that's going to be available at drop, and the rest of it's going to kind of be there over time. Beyond that, in terms of off the top of my head, I'm not looking at it right now. Off the top of my head, I remember the directors who were announced for the Untitled Pixar films. Really promising directors. You got Brian Fee, who directed Cars 3.
Yes.
You have the most impressive one I'm very eager for, Dome Shi, who did Bao. Yes. Let's see what else. Yes,
she's honestly the one I'm. She's honestly the one I'm looking forward to a lot.
I know. I want to say Mark Andrews is going to be given another bite at the apple, like one that he did from the ground up versus like he came on for Brave. So we're going to see one from Mark Andrews from that ground up, which makes me very excited. And I don't know if this has changed or not, but I remember basically because I remember when you and I were talking about the short that, in my opinion, is greatest. Cars 3 was good, but I think the short still surpassed it with Lou. Dave Mullins, animator extraordinaire from dating back to the Iron Giant, one of Brad Bird's guys, Dave Mullins, wonderful Dave Mullins, did Lou, which still blows me away to this day. I'm pretty sure, because we made a whole gag out of that when we talked about Lou, that I'm pretty sure, like, to confirm this, that he basically, in doing this short, he was given one of the original movies, one of the solo movies. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be like I think he's filling the 5th spot of like the Untitled movies as well.
Gotcha. Okay, and then just really quickly, just very blue sky. Are you guys feeling my whole pitch of like a Toy Story 5 being the Buzz-centric Toy Story movie?
I mean, maybe not necessarily. I mean, I'd be down for it if they did the whole feature thing, but even if they did like a couple like shorts about that, I'd be totally down with that too.
I mean, look, my whole argument is like we totally like Toy Story 4 was literally like a running gag in Hollywood for a long time of like, oh, they can't do that. It's an unnecessary sequel. Like, just because it sounds superfluous now doesn't mean they wouldn't come up with a great story for it.
You're right, T, because that's the thing. Andrew Stanton has been really the champion of kind of saying like we don't know when we're done these days, folks. Again, he came back with Finding Dory because there was a story to tell, and he came back coming back for Toy Story 4 here, where again they thought they were done. But however, Andrew Stanton always had the very interesting point that as far as he was concerned, Toy Story 3 was the ending of Andy's story, but not the ending of Woody's story. Therefore, he always had
totally.
With that in mind, that's the thing. So basically, you could look at it as now. Look, personally, I feel I don't know if I could live. I don't know if I could live through a Toy Story 5 in regards of like how harrowing, in regards to like how on edge I was. Like, oh, please let it be successful. Basically, it's like letting it ride on the fifth one. It's like, oh my! Like I personally, I don't know if I could take it. I mean, I'm saying I'm if they have a story, obviously I have faith in them after this. But it's just the fact that like I wouldn't chance it. If it were me, I wouldn't gamble with it. In regards to the shorts, basically, I've heard there's some murmurs given like they're doing a series of Forky shorts. So there's gonna be a lot of them. I don't know how many. Off the top of my head, I know they're gonna do a series. I want to say I can't guess the number. I know there's gonna be a number of them though. Point being. That in mind, maybe they could do like some people theorize maybe a Toy Story TV show, or maybe I'll raise it like in some narratively connective shorts, like maybe like
a
series
of Band reboot.
I guess I wouldn't say no to like some Disney Plus exclusive stuff like Time for God and Terror.
I'm sorry, I'm stupefied with what Tiki just dropped on me right now. It's just like yes.
You're welcome. You can dream of that when you go to bed tonight.
Regardless, one, it still shocks me that, especially after Toy Story 4 is going to be on Disney Plus too. It just still shocks me that really, out of all the shows, like Buzz Lightyear Star Command is not one of the shows you're putting on Disney Plus. Really?
Yeah, I wonder if that's like a weird rights issue or something.
I mean, they have Kim Possible on. It was this. Disney. Yeah, that was after.
I mean, it's not necessarily. I don't see why it'd be a rights issue. I mean, Disney owns it and they own Pixar, so I don't see why it'd be a big rights deal.
I mean, is Pepper Ann going to be on there?
I at this point, it's hard for me.
Well, here's the thing. If I'm remembering correctly, I want to say the Disney Morning stuff, which was, I believe, Pepper Ann, Buzz Lightyear, Star Command, Recess, like those. I know. At the very least, Recess is not on the Disney Plus doc, which implies maybe those. Saturday, maybe the
one Saturday morning. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The one Saturday mornings. I'm saying that maybe there's like a weird legal loophole for like I don't know.
The legalese escapes us, but I absolutely see your point. There might be for some reason. At the very least, I hope one day they add it to the roster.
It could be possible they're just waiting for later. I mean, they already have a whole bunch of stuff at launch, so maybe they're just waiting for it until a later time.
Entirely possible. Regardless, I'm all for more Buzz Lightyear Star Command, but still, regardless, like the point being, if we don't chance it with a 5, we could just do a series of shorts that perhaps, because people say maybe Toy Story TV series again, Buzz Lightyear Star Command reboot, I'm all for. But even if it's just we're assuming
Buzz Lightyear Star Command.
I'm sorry, what?
A CG Buzz Lightyear Star Command.
Again, that'd be mind blowing. That's the thing. That's the question. Like, would they have because this Monsters Inc. show they're doing? I have no idea if it's going to be a computer generated or not. Given what we do, Big Hero 6, I have no idea.
I think I saw like an image of like the new main character for Monsters at Work, and I think it actually was rendered in CG.
I guess that's possible. I assumed it was going to be 2D, but again, I don't know. So I mean, I think I'll take your word for that on that.
I mean, I could be missing that. It was just like very, very, very convincing 2D.
The point being, I know Patrick Warburton. Again, if they do Buzz Lightyear Star, I could probably. It'd be weird seeing Patrick Warburton as Buzz Lightyear in CG. That's the weird thing. I'm so used to him in 2D. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it'd be something to adjust to. The real question is, and as I think they got the original cast in for Monsters Inc. The real question is, would they be able to get? Of course, Tom Hanks again not really being an issue at this point because he would be kind of the Woody sort of be wrapped up. If we get Tim Allen to do Buzz, which again I'm sure he's open to do it by all means, because again they've said Tim Allen said he's flirted the idea of saying Toy Story 5 isn't off the table, implying that at the very least he'll probably be back for shorts. The point being, I'm sure Tim Allen will be open to be Buzz Lightyear, assuming Disney is willing to go for him instead of just going for like what the TV show did, where they can't get Tim Allen, so they have to get someone else also talented. The point being, I'm down for if they do something with it. I'm down for continuing the story's question if it's going to be shorts or a serialized narrative or something. They can do like basically if you want to combat Netflix's DreamWorks shows, Pixar shows on Disney Plus, that's how you do it.
Oh yeah.
All
right. Final thoughts, guys. How about it?
Jake, you start us off.
Well, I mean, I pretty much said all I wanted to throughout this entire thing. I mean, as you pretty much said, like it's almost like a movie. This is almost a movie that kind of shouldn't have worked as well as it did. Like, this is like, but Pixar pulled off the impossible. They pulled off a fourth movie that equally lives up to the previous ones that came before, lives up to its legacy, and in some ways even surpasses it. It's like flawlessly animated, beautifully told, barely a thing that doesn't pay off in the entire story. Basically, almost as flawless as a movie as you can get with this one. I mean, everything we could ask for in this kind of movie. I mean, definitely worth your time, and basically beautiful in many more ways than just visually.
All right, Dragon.
All right, so this is everything I want. This film is everything I want in a Pixar movie. It took a huge gamble that paid off. I count my lucky stars that it worked out. I couldn't be more pleased. I'm still glowing over it. It's very rewatchable. It smartly looked at the Toy Story franchise. The shorts as well as the feature films. It looked at everything to answer. And can I try to answer the question? What more do we have to say, and like what can we learn from ourselves in a movie? Like, let's not just like create a story because we want to create a story. There's a story there. Like, how do we tell it properly? And they took their time, and it paid off wonderfully. I mean, the caliber of story, animation, and character in this film is, simply put, staggering. So many ways. Personally, as I said, I don't want any more Toy Story films, but again, that's because I'm a cautious man. This defied the odds. Again, more shorts, maybe there's some spec about some TV shows. Who knows? I mean, I'm all for you. I'm always in the Toy Story camp by all means. This again defied the odds. It came back for more because simply. The cheesy way of putting it, because the Toy Story wasn't over. I never thought I'd be saying it after 3. 4 was another wonderfully solid and tremendously exemplary entry in the Toy Story franchise without trying to compete with the trilogy. They did the impossible by doing a movie that it's a 4, but it's not really a 4 without going into a whole convoluted explanation. It's a 4 that measures up, but it doesn't feel like well, you mean 3 wasn't the ending again? Like, the best way I put in kind of closing here is, like if Infinity War after Endgame comes out, it's just kind of like kind of an awesome prologue tacked on to like the real story. Toy Story 4 is the very fitting epilogue that kind of ties that brings Woody's story to a close wonderfully, like any true. It's a fitting. It's an ending befitting of a cowboy, and I love it.
Yeah, this movie is I would describe it as a magic trick, man. It's a sleight of hand in so many regards. I mean, it's like the whole concept of Toy Story 4 was just a running joke in Hollywood of like, Toy Story is the most perfect franchise ever, and how could you possibly top Toy Story 3? Like, I mean, it's a magic act in that regard. It's a magic act in the fact that like this is like a perfect Pixar epilogue. Of course, Gabby is such a complex villain that, in spite of being like very real world horrific with like the basically the body part trafficking plot, people are still like reluctant to call her a villain at all. Like, people are like, hey, this movie has no villain. And I'd say that that's a big compliment to the movie. I just think so many things in this movie work. Like, it's outstanding. I absolutely think it's the best movie of 2019 so far, and I am very excited to see where Pixar goes from here. I think after this and Coco, Pixar are kind of on a roll. I'm going to ignore the fact that movie in 2018 ever happened. Shots fired. Anyways,
really, in the closing, really,
in the closing statements, yes.
God.
because this is so much more ambitious and satisfying than that movie that I'm not going to drop again.
Incredibles 2.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Jacob. Thank you. And you
Which
see,
is
I
better
would
than-
be
which is
polite by
better than
not
just
bringing it up by name, but
okay. Give us some positive stuff to go out on.
okay,
would
so
you?
positive stuff. So the buzz on Spider-Man: Far From Home has been off the charts. I'm hearing a lot of stuff about like mind-blowing cliffhangers and everything like that. I don't know any of them. I'm totally not spoiled, but I am very excited for Spider-Man: Far From Home. And guys, I am going to just go ahead and pull a little bit of inside baseball on you. What do you guys think of doing the spoiler cast for Far From Home on the 4th of July?
I mean, I'm not against it. I mean, it sounds pretty reasonable. Yeah, I guess.
Jacob?
Maybe.
All right, so yeah, so plan on that, folks. Plan on like for the holiday of, because Spider-Man's very much an American icon and kind of like an institution in American pop culture. So
He's an American icon played by a British person in Europe.
yes, right. But and what could be more American than that? God damn it! But
Yes.
the point being, we'll definitely have a first reactions podcast for Far From Home on next Tuesday, and it looks like we will have our spoiler cast. All signs point to the 4th of July for our Far From Home spoiler cast. So yeah, and Incredibles 2 has its moments. All right, I like all the Jack stuff, and I like all the all the violent stuff. All right, Incredibles 2 is a good movie. All right, I'll praise Incredibles 2 a little bit. Is it as good as the first one? God, no. But it's not a bad movie by any means, all right?
There you go. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
The civility so hard. There you go.
With that in mind, folks, have a good night. See you guys later.
To infinity and beyond.
Blush Rush! Where's the key? Where's the key?